Good evening. Please, everyone take a seat. I'd ask everyone to take a seat, please. We're going to start the meeting.
He's probably going to get him.
Thank you. We're going to call the meeting to order at 6:30 on October 7th. We will start with the roll call, please. Here.
Here.
Yes.
Here.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Tonight's meeting will begin with an invocation by Father Daniel Fink from St. Mark's Catholic Church here in Boynton, and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag that I will lead us in, if you please rise.
I like it. When you introduce this new stuff.
Very nice.
Almighty God, creator of the universe, you have created all things out of nothing. You who put order to chaos and separated light from darkness. You who created man and woman, the highest form of creation, and gave man and woman body and soul, intellect and reason, and most especially the ability to choose good or evil. God, you give man and woman the task of being stewards of creation. You have ordained that man and woman are to nurture the planet and to care for the rest of creation. God, throughout history, you have called from the family of nations men and women to lead nations, states, and cities in groups of millions, thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. You have bestowed your wisdom and authority to govern with authority, justice, and charity. Good God, we call upon you to look upon the men and women who serve on this city council. May they always recognize it is you they serve by serving the good people of Boynton Beach. Free the members of this council from all fear. Do not allow them to hesitate from knowing and performing their duties with integrity, honesty, and hope. In the moment of discussion, take from their hearts any rancor or bitterness, and let them truly remember they serve the good people of this community, whom they have been elected to serve. Give them, Lord, open eyes, listening ears, and a loving heart. God, you who are yesterday, today, and tomorrow, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. All time belongs to you, Most High God, and all the ages. To God be glory and power throughout every age, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father Dan, we want to let you know we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to be here for the invocation. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh,
We'll now go to agenda approval. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda?
yes, Mayor.
Commissioner Merker.
I would like postponed ordinance number 14-014 and MSPM 14-002. I'm going up north next week. I have my 50th high school reunion, and I would appreciate it if the commission would postpone.
The second readings of that?
Yes, please.
The second reading. 'Cause tonight
Second
we got
reading.
the first readings,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So you're asking to postpone the second readings to, what's the date?
The first meeting
In November?
Yes.
Is the commission okay with that?
We haven't had the first reading yet, right?
Well, no, but this, yeah.
I do the first
If
reading.
if that
Okay.
passes, and
It passes,
if
yeah.
there's a second reading, he's asked, because he'll be out of town.
And can we
Okay.
pull E, F, and G under consent?
E, F, and G?
Yes.
E, F, and G, okay.
Mayor, I'd like to pull 6C.
6C,
Correct.
okay. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I'd like to pull 6E.
E?
6E,
It's al-
Echo.
It's already been pulled.
Oh, it is? All right, I thought I heard C.
Anything else? Okay, I would like you to add under announcements and add an item G,
State Representative Lori Berman would like to comment on a program. Okay, we'll do that when we get to it.
When we get to,
Yeah, just add that to the agenda.
okay.
Is there any other thing? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve
Motion
the
to
agenda.
approve as
Second.
amended.
I have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Show the motion is. Can we turn the volume up? They're having problem hearing in the back there. Turn the volume up a little bit. Can you hear now? Okay. I think everybody make sure you're talking to your mic so they can hear. Thank you. Informational items by members of the City Commission. I'll start with Mike Fitzpatrick. Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
September 18th, I attended the Metropolitan Planning Organization. The 19th, I went to the bid opening for the Lake Ida 4.85 acres, and a private developer put in a bid for $500,000 versus our $100,000, so we'll see how that plays out. October 20th, I attended the POW MIA Boy Scout visual ceremony, and then I was out of town for a while, and then October 3rd, I went to, I had a meeting with Nick Urin, the head of the MPO, the director of the MPO for long-range planning up through, I think, 2050. And that's about it.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Casello.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On September 17th, attended the Mayor's Literacy Luncheon along with you and our city manager. And this year's reading is Bunny Cakes. Last year's was Otis the Tractor, which was one of my favorites. Bunny Cakes has a little less pictures in it. It'll be a little more difficult to read. But we're going to have fun with that. Also, October 2nd, the City Commission, and all of us, in fact, attended a ribbon cutting for Easy Pay Tire, Goodyear, over at 619th North Federal Highway. And Doug and his family have owned this business for 50 years. It was a 50-year celebration. And it's, this is what we need here in Boynton Beach, committed businesses who not only service their mothers and fathers and their mothers and fathers, but now are servicing their kids and their grandkids. It's a great, great organization, and shout-outs to Doug. Also on October 2nd, we attended the Stage Left Theater ribbon cutting. They've revamped the theater over there, and I would implore you all to go over there and catch a play. It's a great, great venue. On October 6th, yourself and me, we attended a roundtable discussion with Representative Bill Ager on sober homes. It was held at the Lantana City Hall. A lot of city officials from neighboring communities were involved in this discussion, getting ideas on the discussion. Also, October 6th, we, yourself, Commissioner Fitzpatrick, myself, we walked a neighborhood that has sober homes in it, along with the State Senator Maria Sachs, who's a good friend of Boynton Beach. And we heard concerns about the residents. Some of the residents who live in the neighborhoods voiced their concerns to us, and it was well taken. The 9th through the 10th, I think we're attending the FCP3 conference down in Fort Lauderdale, the City Commission. You could probably expand on that. Thank you.
Commissioner Merker.
I'll take a break. Next.
Commissioner McRae.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I met with Mr. Jeffrey Cohen, one of the partners who purchased Jotman's Plaza. Okay, he's going to do a new facade, a new facelift on the plaza, and he's looking for new tenants. I, too, attended the 50-year Easy Pay Goodyear ribbon cutting. I attended the Boy Scout visual ceremony on a Saturday. I met with the developer in regards to the High Ridge property. Also, at this time, I would like to do a disclosure at this time for the record. Attended the retirement party for Mr. Tony Penn. And since Robert is here tonight, we're going to have another retirement party. We have another one of our great employees that's going to be leaving, Robert, from the ITS department. I also attended, because I had to, the St. John Missionary Baptist Church 106th church anniversary, where I brought greetings from the entire membership of this elected body. So 106 years from now, whether you're around or not, you will be in history. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Merker, did you want to, you still taking a pass?
No, that's all right.
Okay,
I've
you
been
can-
to it. I don't have to repeat whatever
Okay.
one says.
Yeah, well, the Vice Mayor spoke about all the things we attended, he talked about, most of those were together. I just want to follow up on the Bunny Cakes book that we're all reading. We won last year, we won in Palm Beach County, this city, read to more children than any other city in the county. We won the award, which is usually a huge box of books. And that goes to our library. And actually, I'll tell you, the person that really I have to give Woodrow Hay, who was the mayor at the time, really credit. He really pushed everybody to get out there and do it. Our staff went out to all the schools and read. We read at the library, and we're going to do it again this year. We're not going to let anybody else take the title, so we're going to be after it. Okay.
I got just this
One more thing, yes.
A disclosure, I did meet with a High Ridge developer, Jack Ware. We had a one-on-one conversation.
I did meet with him also this past week.
Me 3.
Okay.
Me four.
Okay. Okay, that's it then for that. We'll go to announcements of community and special events presentations. First one is announce the request from the Recreation and Parks Department for nominations for the Holiday Parade Grand Marshal.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Wally Majors, Recreation and Parks Director. We'd like to invite the public to submit nominations for the Holiday Parade Grand Marshal. The parade will be held on December 6th. This is an honor that we bestow on individuals who have made a lasting impact of significance to our city, and we are accepting nominations through October 24th. So we really would like to see people take part in this effort. You can submit nominations through the city's website, or you can simply call me, or again, contact anybody in the city. We'll be sure to point you in the right direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item is we have a proclamation for Planning Month. Is Mike Rumpf here? If not, yeah, there you Mike. You want to join me down there at the podium? Whereas change is a constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural areas, and other places, and community planning and plans can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work and live. And whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all our residents to be meaningful, involved in making choices that determine the future of their community, and the full benefits of planning require public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories, and the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorsed National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions sound planning and plan implementation make to the quality of our settlements and environment. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of the Planning and Development Board and other citizen planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the city of Boynton Beach. And whereas we recognize many valuable contributions made by professional community and regional planners who serve the city and extend our heartfelt thanks for the continued commitment to public service by these professionals. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the month of October 2014 is hereby designated as Community Planning Month in the city of Boynton Beach, in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Boynton Beach, Florida, to be affixed at Boynton Beach, Florida, the 7th day of October, 2014. I'd just like to say that we are blessed to have some real professional people in our planning and development department. They advise the commission. They just tell us what's the pros and cons. They do not tell us how to vote or where we should go. They just give us the facts that we need to know to make our decisions. And I'm very proud of our group.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Real briefly, I wanted to also extend that appreciation toward the public. Those public citizens who take the time to make phone calls to staff to provide input, information on their neighborhoods, information on impacts of development. We can't always make it a win-win circumstance with the outcome, but that information is really important to us. And even though you may not realize it, we take into the account in the review process. I recognize those who have taken the time to sit on committees, those who have taken the time to attend charrettes and participate in those activities. We're all part of that planning process. We're all part of the change that the mayor referenced, and we appreciate that. As part of this recognition this month, promoted by the APA. Gigi Hart and other staff members have come up with an idea to promote participation and to recognize the built environment in the city. And we're having a photo contest. I'll put the fact sheet on the back table, which contains the deadlines, criteria, age group divisions, and other rules of that process. And we hope many of you participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item is the announcement of the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency's Pirate Fest and Mermaid Splash Days scheduled for October 25th and 26th, 2014.
One side, everyone!
Avast ye!
All across East Boynton Beach, pirates whisper of a legendary treasure lost at sea and washed up here in Boynton Beach. Be it known that we pirates have determined to take East Boynton, and we're going to make it a fine place to make our encampment.
Aye. The pillaging and plundering begins October the 25th and 26th. Along East Ocean Avenue on Saturday afternoon, October 25th, we will extend the celebration to Federal Highway, kicking it off with live music beginning at 1 in the afternoon. The pillaging will continue into the wee hours of 9 p.m. Be prepared to surrender.
You have been warned! This city is ours! Come that weekend. Be prepared! We will plunder you. Surrender or face our wrath.
My, aren't they frightening? Good day, Honourable Mayor.
Good
Good
day.
eventide, good councillors, and people of Boynton Beach. I, Lord Governor Sir Henry Hyde, invite you to the Boynton Beach 3rd Annual Pirate Festival. What say you? There will be chills, thrills, excitement, high-flying acts, the Wheel of Death, so many pirates like these types over here. And I want to make this perfectly clear, admission is absolutely free. Our pirates will dazzle you, will amaze you. We have acts from far and wide. We hope you all join us and bring your little ones because it is a family, free, fun event.
Okay.
I thank you all for your time. We hope to see you on Saturday and Sunday, the 25th and 26th of October. Thank you very much. Please have sail.
Outstanding.
On behalf of the commission, I would just like to say, arg.
Whatever that means.
Next item is the announcement of the Recreation and Parks Director Wally Majors regarding the Rally for the Cure event, which will be held at the Tennis Center on Saturday, October 25th, beginning at 10 a.m.
How do I top that? I mean,
No, you can.
right.
It bears repeating.
Again, Wally Majors, Recreation and Parks Director. I guess along the same theme of the many things that make one city of Boynton Beach such a wonderful place to live and play. This Saturday, October 25th, the upcoming Saturday, October 25th at 10 o'clock, we are hosting the Rally for the Cure. It's an event that's going to support the promise of the Susan G. Komen for the Cure. And we want to invite people to participate. Obviously, you have to be somewhat of a decent tennis player to participate. But if you would like some more information, the event again starts at 10 o'clock. It's at the Congress Avenue Tennis Center, and we have flyers on the back table if you're interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wally. Due to Election Day on Tuesday, November 4th, the first commission meeting in November will be held on Wednesday, November 5th, at 6:30 p.m. the normal time. So the election day is the 4th, so we're going to move the commission meeting to Wednesday, the 5th.
Just a side note to that, Mr. Mayor, the absentee ballots came out today. Some of you probably received them, so fill them out and get them into the mail.
Okay. Next one is to announce the Reading Oasis program and thank city partners for their generous donations. And I believe we have somebody that wants to speak to that. Yes. Be hard to follow the pirates.
Arg. Good evening. I'm Renee Rashar, and I'm the president of Gold Coast Knights Kiwanis Club. And these are some members that we have. Lori Wilkinson and Ron Washam here to present. We just wanted to make the city aware of the fact that our Kiwanis Club, in partnership with the Scholastic, and we have a clicker here, good. In partnership with Scholastic, is going to build a reading oasis at Rolling Green Elementary School. Rolling Green Elementary School is a Title I school, very low socioeconomic area, and also in need of a lot of things. And we've formed a partnership with Principal Sanchez there, and we're working on bringing a reading oasis to the county. This is going to be the first reading oasis in the county, so we're trying to make it a big deal and make sure that these reading oases pop up in other places that are needed. And so the idea of the Reading Oasis is the mission is to form a coalition with the local organizations and the international organizations of Scholastic and also Kiwanis International, and to establish nurturing environments for these children within the schools. The Reading Oasis includes grade-specific books, bookshelves and furniture, bean bags for the kids to be comfortable in, things that the kids will want to, places the kids will want to go to read. It also includes decorations. All of this is going to be put together by the Kiwanis Club, and also we are going to have some of the firefighters. We're going to have some police officers there helping out. We're going to have area key clubs, which is the Kiwanis-sponsored youth organization at the high school. So we're inviting everyone to get involved in this project, and we hope that this is just one of very many that come in. You can see some ideas of what's going to go into that reading room. There's going to be over 1,200 books that are going to go into that reading room. It's not a library, so if books disappear, that's okay. We want to get books into the hands of the kids who want it, so if they want it so badly and it disappears, that's great. We're happy about that. And that's a little bit of what our Kiwanis Club will do to replenish. We want to go ahead and replenish all those books also as we go along. It also has, like I said, the furniture that our Kiwanis Club is going to be putting together, and making this room a neat room for a place for the kids to come. And also the idea is for the parents to come and read with their children after school. So Principal Sanchez has chosen a classroom that she's going to dedicate to this, and she's going to open the doors so that after school the parents can come in and read with their children also. This partnership with Kiwanis is a $5,000 contribution from our Kiwanis Club, along with other donations. Also, the $5,000 from Scholastic for a total of $10,000 cost to get this room up and going. So that is something that we have decided to partnership with them and take on, and we hope that we are also going to do some others and partner with other Kiwanis clubs in the area to build other reading oases. Yes.
It's a good time for me to jump in. So as Renee just said, hi everybody.
Hi.
Mayor,
Hi.
commissioners, good evening. As Renee just said, this is a $10,000 endeavor, and all the things that she just talked about are being paid for with that $10,000. $5,000 of it came from Scholastic, and our goal as a Kiwanis Club was to get the entire community involved in this project as much as possible and raise funds. Not that our club couldn't have done it. We could have. We do fundraisers of our own, but we wanted to involve the entire community to raise that second $5,000 to match the grant that we got from Scholastic. In doing so, I spoke to a number of people here at the city, and I've been trying to get different groups involved, either hands-on or financially. I have to say a huge thank you to both the police department and the fire department here at the city of Boynton. They both gave very generous contributions to our $5,000 goal. The Benevolent Association of the Firefighters are the people that helped us out, and then the police department itself were the funders in that respect. We also have a donation from our Education and Youth Advisory Board here at the city, so that ties right into their mission statement. It supports a school, a Title I school here in the city, and so we have a donation from them as well. So I'm very, very thankful to those people that gave us financial donations. The Greater Boynton Beach Foundation, I know many of you have heard me come up talk about them before. The Greater Boynton Beach Foundation is going to be involved on Saturday, November 1st, when we're doing the build for this room. All of this stuff, as cool as it looks in the pictures, is some assembly required. Actually, it's all assembly required. So when it comes, we are going to be, putting together the bookshelves, the furniture. The room has to be painted ahead of time, which we have a donation from the Lantana Chamber of Commerce. I know Ron's going to talk about that in a second. And one of their members, Ben Lewis, is also doing the painting for free for us for that, so we appreciate that. But we're going to be stamping books, stickering books, and like she said, there are 1,200 of them. And I believe there's only one stamp. Two stamps? Two stamps. Whew, that was close. 2 stamps, 1,200 books, furniture to be put together, carpets to be rolled out, all kinds of great stuff. One more thing that I can think of that we need to say thank you also, the art department at Boynton Beach High School is going to be participating in a moving mural. The idea behind a moving mural is that it's moving. It's not stationary. So they're going to do 4 different murals that will be seasonal. And that's going to go right outside the room. We're not finished collecting donations yet, though. Absolutely anybody and everybody is welcome to donate to this project, because also, as Renee said, this is not going to be the only one that we do in this area. So I know there are no more discretionary funds, but commissioners, mayor, I'm speaking to you guys. If you guys would like to help us out with this project, we absolutely would love to count you in on the donations. We also would love hands-on on November 1st when we're building this stuff, so come on by. And then the final thing that you need to know is that November 21st is the ribbon cutting. And I am personally inviting you all right now, and you will get an invitation in the mail as well. We would love to see everybody sitting on this dais, and people in the audience if you'd like to come too, on November 21st at Rolling Green Elementary School. Next. 5:30. Sorry.
Yeah, it is 5:30. Thank you all very much. Just to round things out, it is going to be a great honor for Boynton Beach. It is a great honor for our Kiwanis Club to be able to bring this to Boynton Beach. I'm very excited, being an alumni of Rolling Green Elementary School some 100 years ago or more. It's an exciting event for me. It's an exciting event to bring all of these folks together, Scholastics, Books, Kiwanis, the Boynton Beach Police Department, Boynton Beach Fire Department, all that Lori had mentioned. Lantana is getting involved in it, the City of Lantana, the Lantana Chamber of Commerce, going across lines to make this work. And I'm so very, very proud that it's in our community and it's for our kids. So please keep in touch through whatever media we're going to be putting things out in. And please come and join us for any of the work days. And then come, definitely, everyone, write down November 21st at 5:30, because we so want you there to be a part of this. And it's going to be a good and compassionate part of Boynton Beach.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Yeah, we do have quite a few dignitaries. We do have Senator Jeff Clemens. We have the council in Lantana, town manager, the police chief. We also have Richard Hager, several other representatives. We're trying to get the Sheriff's Department. They're going to be coming and join us. It's going to be a really, the entire school board, old and new members, hopefully. And we're going to have a great, great day to celebrate reading, children, and generally Boynton Beach. So thank you all very much for your support. We look forward to seeing you on the 21st. And look forward to seeing all of you on the 21st as well. And thank you for your help and your support. We hope it's going to be a wonderful project for Boynton.
Okay, we want to certainly want to thank the Kiwanis for kicking this off, and everybody else that is supporting and kicking in and getting involved in it. I'll tell you, the fact that it's Boynton Beach, the first city to do something like this in the whole county, is really remarkable. Like you say, I'm also very proud of you for doing it with our city. That means a lot, because if you can teach children to read, children that read get much higher grades in school. So if you can start them out early and get them into that, that means a lot. It can change their entire lives. Thank you so much for this effort.
Mayor, may I? Many of you know that my passion, my desire, and even my craving is history. So I think it's that essential that young people learn American history. I would like you to approach me at the right time. I'd like to donate for this cause personally. I also only have one other question, which I think is an important factor, and I'm not sure if I'm in the right order of saying this. In the state of Florida, there are a lot of, I'll use the word, citizens or to-be citizens who do not know how to read. And did you and are you thinking of a program to educate people from Jamaica or Haiti or from Cuba to learn to read and have books for them also?
I would say that this is probably step one. Getting it built is the first part. Principal Sanchez is very involved in this project. She didn't, I mean, obviously she had to give permission for us to use a room in her school.
Sure.
But beyond that, she knows her population well, and she knows their needs very well. I think that, yeah, the families read together. The doors are open, as Renee said. Principal Sanchez intentionally made the room in a spot where they're not going to have to go to the front office and check in and go through, giving blood to get through the door to get to the reading room. It will be staffed. Obviously, it's still a secure school building, but it's right by a door where people can come in and out, families can read together, and I would not be surprised if it grows to something more like what you were suggesting. I guess the short answer is at the moment there are no plans for that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
May I, please? So you can contact me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Merker.
Anyone? Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Best of luck on your efforts. Next item is State Representative Lori Berman wants to speak to us about a farm share distribution program. Good evening, Representative.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and citizens of Boynton Beach. I represent part of Boynton Beach, and I'm really excited to be here tonight to see all of you. I think your civic involvement is really wonderful, and I commend all of you for being here. I don't have any PowerPoint or costumes, but I do have a flyer, and I will leave it at the back of the room. We are doing an event this Saturday. It is October 11th. It's from 9 to 12 o'clock. And it's in conjunction with Farm Share. And what it is they take extra food from farmers and supermarkets. We will be bagging it and distributing it to anyone who wants it. There's no requirement. If you feel like you need food, please come. If you know anyone who needs food, please tell them to come. We just want to get the word out. It's a wonderful program. We have food for up to 1,000 people. So, and it is first come, first serve. So tell people to get there early if they're particularly concerned about getting the food. From 7 to 9 o'clock, we will be there staging and setting it up, bagging the food. We're happy to have any extra volunteers, but we would like to know if you are going to come. So that's why I'm going to leave some flyers at the back of the room. They have my office information on it. Just give us a call if you want to volunteer. If you want to pick up the food, you do not need to call us. You just come that day. My office is in the Children's Service Council building, which is on High Ridge Road, right off I-95 and Gateway. We're right opposite the Tri-Rail station, so if people need to come on public transportation, they can get there that way. Otherwise, it's right there off of I-95. I want to thank the Commission and the City of Boynton Beach. They've been really wonderful working on this program with us. They're going to be helping us out with some equipment, so we very much appreciate that, and I know some of the commissioners might be there. So I think this is a wonderful community program, and I'm happy that my office is able to sponsor it, and please, come and be a part of it. We really appreciate it.
Was that the distribution is going to be at the Children's Care Center right there?
Yeah, Children's Service Council building in the parking lot. We will be distributing right there. There's no one, the parking lot, no one works over the weekend, so the whole parking lot will be empty.
The start time again?
9 o'clock for distribution of food and 7 o'clock for preparation, 7 a.m.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
you.
That's great. Okay, at this time, we're going to go to public audience. Anybody in the public wish to address the commission on items not on the agenda may do so at this time. We ask you to give your name and address for the record and limit your comments to a 3-minute time period. You can see the clock will time you up there.
Good evening, Commission and Mayor, and all the amazing citizens who came out tonight. My name is Erica Whitfield, and I'm a candidate for School Board District 4. My address is 133 Duke Drive in Lake Worth. I actually live just up the coast from here, and I just wanted to make a couple of quick comments. First of all, I wanted to say that I believe that our schools are the center of our community, and the focus that your commission has on schools is just heartwarming, and it just means so much to me, just being a resident, and I know what it means to contribute to your schools through community service due to 2 years that I spent on as the president of my Kiwanis Club. So I was so excited to see the reading area that is being created at Rolling Green. These kind of projects mean so much to our schools, and I look forward to serving as your next school board member and working with you to help create opportunities for the community to come together and actually bring in support to our schools. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to give me a call. My phone number is on absolutely everything I give out, and my website is www.erica4schools.com, and I look forward to your vote on November 4th. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Erica.
Good evening, David Cadden, 67 Midwood Lane, former city commissioner and a 32-year resident of Boynton. At the last commission meeting, Mr. Merker again showed he has no filter while attacking me personally. He again called me a coward and scum and added lowlife and liar. He also stated that I'm always changing my story. Mr. Merker, please tell those present here tonight, on the record, is it a lie that it never happened, that you were counseled by either the city manager's office or human resources, or both, for inappropriate behavior towards female employees of the city? Tell those present here tonight on the record, is it a lie that you were asked to leave Hurricane Alley by the owner for inappropriate behavior in her establishment? And I'm going to present for the record.
A point of information, please, point of order. Is this, I'd like to ask the city attorney, once again, this lowlife is making accusations for the sake of making himself feel good. And this has nothing to do with the running of the city. Believe it or not, I don't understand, Mayor, why you let this conversation, which has nothing to do with what the people are here for, let alone the running of the city, go forward every time. It happens continuously, not just about me. I accept it. I have broad shoulders. He has nothing better to do. By the way, did you sell your house yet?
No, you
So
won't
the
buy
point I'm getting at is that this is not pertinent to what this runs the city. And yet you let this go on week after week. When does it stop? Do you enjoy this?
Your time was used up by him. You go ahead.
Can you reset the clock, please, Mr. Attorney?
I want to feel the fresh air, because if you
Right.
look into this
Go
man's
ahead.
background, you'll realize that the words I use are words that are in the dictionary, and he's living in the past and has accomplished nothing and is trying to be a hero and hurt innocent people. So you don't mind if I get a breath of fresh air, do
Show
you?
that Commissioner Merker's left the dais.
Could the city attorney reset the clock to about 2 minutes or so?
I can't do that.
Okay, so I can just finish my
I'll
comments.
try to-
Okay, I'll
The
do
mayor
that.
will allow you to go on.
So I'm asking Mr. Merker to tell those here about his inappropriate behavior at Hurricane Alley. I have a copy of the email which I'll present for the record from Kim Kelly to the city manager. Also part of that email thread, Vivian Brooks wrote back to Kim Kelly, Kim, I'm sorry you had to experience this, and the subject of the email is disturbing commissioner behavior. I'm sorry you had to experience this. These issues should be settled on the dais, and once settled, everyone should move on. We have a lot of issues to work on in the city, so arguing over those that are settled doesn't help anymore, and it goes on, and then Kim Kelly responds back. I'd like him also to tell me and tell those present here tonight on the record that if it's a lie that he called Vice Mayor Casello and former Mayor Woodrow Hay peanut brains. My story, Mr. Merker, has not changed and remains the same, while all you do is attack me personally using nasty and vile language. Part 1 of the city charter, Article 1, titled In General. It goes on to say, in part, judges of own qualifications, rules of procedure, expulsion of members, quorum, fines, and penalties. The city commission shall be the judges of the qualifications, election, and returns of its own members. It may enact rules of procedure and may prescribe penalties for the non-attendance or, and I emphasize, or disorderly conduct of its members and enforce the same. The other members of this honorable commission should not allow themselves to be caught in the undertow of Mr. Merker's despicable behavior of denigrating the public, especially tax-paying citizens. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and the commissioners and everybody in their respective positions. Bernard Wright, Reverend Bernard Wright of Bernard Wright Ministries. I'm a 62-year-old longtime resident of Boynton Beach, in fact, a historic figure here. And we talk about history. Let's get our history true and correct of Boynton Beach, which we don't have yet because we do not have the African-American history in the books, nor even documented at this time.
Show Commissioner Merker's return to the dais.
But I just want to voice my concerns about a few matters that I've been voicing my concern about at a number of commissioner meetings regarding the charge on the pool again, ample lighting down Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, the likes of Carolyn Sim Park, Sarah Sims Park expansion and $80,000 that was approved. I really would like to be around the table when y'all design what is to be so we can get the things necessary that would engage our children, that would be crime prevented and keep them off the streets. We don't have nothing but a lot of grass area and it's in disarray. I want to talk about also, I want to voice my concern about why do I need police protection when I attempt to have a meeting with my city commissioner, Mike McCray, I've been knowing all my life. He seems to need the chief there in our presence. I don't know what message he's trying to convey, but whatever we need to do, we'll take care of that. I also want to voice my concerns about all the CRA property in the heart of Boynton Beach. All disarray. Let's get a cleanup crew. Keep it clean. Y'all have done a great job since I voiced my concern about the parks, restrooms being clean with garbage cans in there and all the toiletry and things that, yeah, y'all doing a good job in that respect. But these other items are very necessary for the heart of Boynton. For decades, nothing has been done and millions have been generated into this city. Nothing spent in the heart of Boynton. I talked about a Junkanoo because Bahamians are the ones that initially started this town long before Nathaniel C. Boynton, and we want to commemorate that. And I have resources to get a Junkanoo here that would generate money into Boynton Beach. When I voiced this to my commission, the first thing he told me, do you have any money? Do they need money? Do I need money? Do they need money for all the other festivals? Like we're just talking about a pirate festival that's, I think this is produced by the CRA. I think they're sponsoring this. Well, so I want to know, I voiced this, no one has responded. $2 for adults, $1 for a child to go in that pool. If you really go in there on a hot day, you will not find the heart of Boynton children at that pool. And all my life has been free to go in that pool, and it was my family that fought for us to go in that pool. I learned how to swim in the canal because we couldn't go in the beach because of segregation. So I would like for you all to get with me and let me know that y'all don't despise these matters. Take them of little importance. To God be the glory.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ray Whiteley, 7353 Palmdale Drive, Boynton Beach. I'm excited to see all the cameras and people here. They must have known I was coming to talk about the Teen Summit. But on October 9th, 2014 at 6 p.m. at Boynton Beach High School, State Representative Bobby Powell, Jr. will partner with Boynton Beach Police Department, Youth Enrichment Association for Academics and Athletics, Boynton United, other community organizations, and 102.3 to host It Takes a Village Teen Summit. Our goal is to create dialogue among teens and community leaders that fosters personal and professional development. We will bring in various community leaders to serve as mentors and partner with the local community organizations to assist in hosting these teen summits. The teen summits will be created in a way that's creative, interesting, and groundbreaking for students. It will also include workshop-style activities, gender-based discussion groups, team-building games, and will be held quarterly. This event is free and is open to all students from 13 to 19 in Boynton Beach and surrounding communities. DJ Reggie D will be emceeing this event, and there will be prize drawings along with giveaway sponsored by Freeman Injury Law and Children Oasis. The discussion topics will be bold justice, which is interaction with police officers, and that will be taught by our Boynton Beach Police Department. Welcome back, Chief Katz. They've been doing a great job working with us as far as putting the summit together. The other topics will be Stacks on Deck, which is financial literacy for teens, which will be taught by TD Bank. Temperature Rising, which is sex, dating, and relationship, which will be taught by Pastor Rodney Wilkerson from Gospel Fellowship. And The Real, which teaches civil involvement and responsibilities, and that will be taught by our state representative, Bobby Powell. I'm inviting everyone on our esteemed panel just to come and be a part. We are hoping to connect our youth with leaders that are not basketball players or football players. So thank you for your time, and I thank you all for your support. The city manager's office have been very, very supportive, and if you can't make it, as a minister, I'm going to ask you to pray for us because we do mean to do well. Thank you.
Would you, Mr. What was the date and time again of the kickoff?
October 9th.
October 9th.
At 5. If you're going to come, Mayor, we would want you to be there at 5:30 because we have a photo op. We're going to encourage the teens to take pictures with the mayor and the state representatives and the different people that are going to be there. We purposely did not invite athletes, basketball stars or football stars.
And the location was?
Boynton Beach Community High School.
Gotcha.
Just for the record, we have most of us will be out of town. We've got a two-day conference.
We'll be down in Lauderdale at a two-day conference.
For a two-day conference, so.
If we're not there, that's why, because we're down there in Lauderdale at this conference.
That's no problem. Thank you for thinking about it. And if you could, write a letter of support in the spirit of the Teen Summit. You may not know what's going to take place, but in the spirit of it, we would love for you to write a letter of support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rodney Wilkinson. I am brand new in terms of service to the community of Boynton Beach. I am a pastor. We started our church called Gospel Fellowship. We meet at Cross Point Elementary Sundays at 10 o'clock. But the reason why I'm up here is to talk about our heart for the city. We've only been here a year, but we've partnered with Urban Youth Impact and First Boynton to mentor some of the young teens of East Boynton Beach. We've also partnered to serve Boynton with Habitat for Humanity and rebuilding homes. We serve with Interaction Drug Rehab Center. And like Mr. Ray said, we'll be participating in the Team Summit. So I just wanted to introduce myself as probably the newer pastor or minister of this city. I'm a young guy, but I'm passionate and I want to serve the youth and the people of this city. So God bless you, and I'm praying for the city. Just want to introduce myself. God bless.
Welcome. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Edwin Ross. I'm an educator with my wife here, Sheila. We're both educators here for over 24 years in Palm Beach County, and we're standing tonight. Our property is 102 Commons Road, Fire Express LLC, DBA East Coast Flames All Stars. And we're asking for a special permission or a special revision for after-school program. And when we relocated from 3497 High Ridge Road to 102 Commons Road, we had to relicense the facility from a showroom to assembly. And doing that for our cheer program and aftercare programs, what our application said to the city. The city zoning department at that time told us the upgrades we needed to do for the school program because it's related with the school. We had load panic bars to front and back doors. That was over $1,000. Water fountains and sink was over $7,000. We added 2 bathrooms, over $25,000 upgrades for the school program. After completing the program, excuse me, the upgrades, the zoning department came back and said that we wasn't allowed to have a school program because of a change in the law that they think that happened 2 years prior to that time, back in 2011. And that's why we asked for permission at this point, because We have upgraded all the things that for schooling, after-school program, and now we're told at the end of spending $50,000 that we can't have one because the zone has changed on us. And since Boynton Beach Charter High School closed down this summer, we were saying with that school gone, we would like to take their place in the sense of offering programs to the kids from the community. And that's what our after-school program will be able to do by offering tutoring, by offering computer work, and also health and fitness. And that's our focus because we are both physical education teachers for the Palm Beach County.
And to elaborate on that, going into the city home, all the documents was laid out. They then explained to us everyone else was grandfathered in. So we said with all the preparations that we did, they told us we can continue as a cheerleading facility, but we do more than cheer. We educate our youth. We talk about Common Core. A lot of our youth in this Boynton Beach area are struggling. And we as educators, we have teachers in our program that are willing to do this aftercare school programming for our youth to better them and to be denied after all of these upgrades. 3 areas in the city office signed off. So I'm like, how do one hand not know what the other hand is doing? And at the last buck, they said the zoning changed. But everyone, and if you pull up your zoning, it was zoned. So when we did our research, that's why we moved to a larger location to serve more youth in our community.
Okay. Well, let us get back with staff and see if there's any way to solve this problem. Okay, we'll get back to you.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
You used the term educator.
Yes.
What are your certifications?
I have a BS in education. I've been teaching 25 years at Citrus Grove Elementary School. My daughter was valedictorian at Santa Lucia's High School. My son is right now with the 4.7 GPA. I can teach biology. I teach physical education and bring mental and moral health to our youth.
And if I might add, Mr. Ross, you had my daughter. I'm very
Yes,
proud.
I did. I just realized that I had your daughter.
You did a
but
great
yes,
job.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
you already directed staff, but I would like a follow-up too. I'd like a written report given to me so I can follow up and make sure that, we are online. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Councilman. I just want to iterate. I'm standing here also on behalf of Fire Express, doing business at East Coast Flame. My name is Rachel Robinson. I live at 2031 Northwest 2nd Court in Boynton Beach. And I just want to read to you what I wrote because often I forget my train of thought. By way of introduction, my name is Rachel Robinson, a single mother of 2 daughters, Raven, who will soon be 17 this month, and Kaya, who is 12. As a lifetime-long resident of the city of Boynton Beach, I've always taken pride in the city in which I live. As proud as I am of this city, I was shocked to hear recently of the rezoning that has caused and will cause a great hurt and sadness to one of the places that I would like to call a second home for my children. My daughters have been active members in attendance at East Coast Flames All-Stars since their young age and since its existence. So much so that my oldest daughter has even begun talking about being a counselor at the school, at the gym during the summer. Yes, my daughters are cheerleaders, and yes, they attend ECF for the sport. However, prior to them becoming cheerleaders, they were young children who attended East Coast Flames for a summer program and after-school program. It was local, it was a safe environment, and it was affordable. Of course, that was before the economy was what it is today. I remember that my daughter came home and she said to me, "Mom, I can't wait to become an older teen to be able to do the things in high school that some of the other girls at the gym are doing." Owners Edwin and Sheila Ross have been in Palm Beach County's education system for more than 20 years plus. I'll say that much just to keep from saying their ages. They have not only instilled education as a major factor for the lives of children in our community, but they have taught them so much about helping others in the community as well. They have taken our youth to clean up the streets and highways. They have taken them to help with Habitat Humanity for building homes. They have also done toy drives during Christmas time. And not recently, they just, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, they just just recently helped with the aiding of artistic and disabled children with riding of mini horses. It is with that I propose the city grant provisions for East Coast Flames to be grandfathered in like other businesses in the area, in the zoning area, and ask that won't you please consider the consideration of our youth in this community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Edward Tedman, 869 Northwest 8th Avenue.
Good evening.
Has consent agenda E been pulled? That's the all aboard?
Yes.
It has?
Yes.
Well, I'd just briefly like to address it anyway, if I may.
Why don't you address it when we get it? When it comes up, we'll let you address it.
I'm sorry, I was advised that I could now, but I'm, if that's
We'll let you address it
irregular,
when it
then
comes, because
I'll
it's for
withdraw.
items now it's for items not on the agenda.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Taylor and the Commission. My name is Tom Sutterfield. I'm running for Palm Beach County School Board. Been a very active member in the Boynton Beach community for the last 19 years since my wife and I moved here. We have been in front of this commission several times, including all of you mentioned going to the memorial service at Bicentennial Park. Mr. Kaiser and I originally petitioned this board for the permission to do that at that park with the Boy Scouts of America. Been here trying to serve the community for many years. Also the treasurer and board member for the Learning Excellence Foundation of South Palm Beach, Inc., that operates Imagine Chancellor on High Ridge Road. We fought to bring that school here, and been a great city to live in, to work in, to volunteer in, and I appreciate your time. And I ask everybody for their vote on November 4th. Please get those absentee ballots in, get the votes in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Tom, I would just like to thank you once again, and your wife, who I had the pleasure of meeting. Both of you were very well educated, intelligent, and knowledgeable on the issues that go on in this city. And I thank you very much for educating me about the public schools, the charter schools. And he's one of ours. He lives in this city, and I thank you.
And I appreciate you and the other commissioners who came out this last month to visit our school to find out what was going on with the PUD. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve Anton, 234 Southeast 2nd Avenue. I'd like to ask the city commissioners, please, whatever it takes, put stuff on your agenda to get this many people here. This is the best turnout I think I've ever seen, and I really appreciate everybody coming out. Whatever it takes, put it on the agenda, bring them here.
Anyone else wish to address commission items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will close public audience and move to administrative. There are no appointments to be made tonight. We'll go to the consent agenda.
Hold on. They have some more.
What? Oh, I didn't.
Public audience.
I didn't see that. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioner. My name is Sylvie Sainville. A lot of people here, most of you know me by my first name because I used to be very involved. We went quiet for a little bit, but...
Your address?
My address is 314 Southwest 2nd Ave, District 2. I am interested about, there's a couple of issues that bothered me, so made me take the decision of going around canvassing, knocking on doors, talking to my community, not my own community, but everybody in my area, knocking on doors, talking about issues that are very important, and telling them to go out there and vote on November 4th, because if they don't go out and vote, those issues won't be resolved. And the reception that I got, they some of them asked me to come down and sit down and explain to them what's going on. They're citizens, they're homeowners, and they have children in school. The issues have to do with their family, but they have no idea of what's going on in the city of Boynton Beach. So as a citizen and a homeowner of this community, I would like to ask the commissioners and the mayor and people who are interested to join hands with me, because I can't do it alone. I would like to have you. I welcome some ideas so that I could have a place where the parents, everybody focus on the children, the youth, but the parents, it takes the parents, the school, the church, everybody together to raise the children. They're not educated about, as you can see, if you look around, you won't see none of them here. They're afraid to come. But I go to them after I attend here, I go and explain to them what's going on. They had questions about CRA. They had questions about what the commission meeting is all about. They have questions about the elections. So I sit down and explain to them my own time. So please join hands with me. If I could have a place, an office, and enough funds to go around and help them educate the community so that they could be part of everything that's going on in Boynton Beach.
You said they're afraid, they're not here because they're afraid to come. Why are they afraid?
Because I don't understand. Some of them don't speak the language. That they think it's limited to, other people, but not them. So I had to sit down and educate and let them know that they're free to come. It's okay. But they asking me questions on a personal basis. Sit down with them. But there's got to be something done about, bringing them out to vote and to be involved in everything that's going on in the city of Boynton Beach.
Oh, okay, thank you. We have the Sea-based ministry that's over here on Seacrest. Where you can get with the pastor, and set up a time and a place, on a Monday or Tuesday afternoon when I'm free, and get as many that want to come out. I'm willing to meet with them, like a community forum, and anybody that's want to join me can join me so that we can get some things misspelled and get some things spelled out that's happening here in this community. I don't jump on the bandwagon when people say I'm not doing anything. I do positive things for this city, and that's why when people ridicule me and say bad things about me, I put it in the hands of the Lord and let him work it out, because guess what? He's the only one that can handle problems like this. But get with me, we'll get with the minister, and we will get a location at a time.
That's
and we will have the
exactly.
meeting. Thank
I'm
you.
here on a positive base.
Thank you.
Because I know you can do the job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Dr. Piotr Blas, 113 West Tara Lakes Drive, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33436. First of all, I want to wish everybody belated Happy New Year. I think I lost part of the microphone. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Take your hand off. There you go. That's better.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Happy New Year, a little late, but better late than never. I have one, I think, really important announcement, and maybe you can put it in your calendars, and I know the press is putting it in their calendars. On October 20th at 7 o'clock at the IHOP restaurant, which is Gateway and Congress, where I see some of the commissioners come, we're going to have a freewheeling, friendly debate in the election for governor. There are 10 candidates. Actually, if you read the papers, you only see 2 or 3. But there are 10 candidates, and I'm one of them. And one candidate already accepted. His name is Farid, and he's a professor of economics, educated in Hamburg and Chicago. And he's going to be presenting his economic plan for the state of Florida. I will try to have a friendly debate with him and present some of the high-tech ideas, which you know about because I've been speaking about them here. So let me repeat this invitation, and I know the press will want to be there. You all know the most friendly IHOP in the world. Of course, it is in Boynton, on the corner of Congress and Gateway. October 20th, 7 o'clock. You will see some real debate. We may debate till midnight. There is no time limits. And I think it's an important exercise in democracy because, quite frankly, the media appears to be broken. If you listen to the media, you have the feeling that there is 2 guys fighting each other and spitting at each other, and that is what the election is all about. But there is a lot more to American democracy. than this kind of exchange. So this is, I'm inviting everybody to come. And if I happen to win the debate, which I'm not sure I will, consider writing my name on November 4th. I am a write-in candidate for governor. God bless you, and God bless Boynton Beach. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address commission items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will close that. We'll go into the items that were pulled from the consent agenda. First one was item C. Which one of you pulled item C?
I pulled item
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you,
Vice
Mr. Mayor. Yes, I had some questions here on the communication tower that we rent out, and most of those questions have been answered by the city manager, but maybe for the public's information on how we go about leasing this out and what type of income we bring in from these leases. And I guess the question I do have is why the 5-year lease? Why not like when you're leasing an automobile, it's 3 years, 36,000 miles or something like that?
Well, I'll speak to our revenues, and then I'm going to ask Kathleen, who sits on there's a committee comprised of 3 or 4 employees, including our finance director. Kathleen's one of our senior planners that actually vet the applications and the requests that come in. But we have about 10 to 12 leases, tower leases throughout the city. We budget about $200,000 a year is what we pull in revenues for renting the space on the towers. This particular project, I think, is going to be bringing in, I think it's about $32,000 a year, and I think we had about a $1,500 application fee and a one-time payment of $8,500. So in addition to the $32,000 annual revenue, we had a $10,000 one-time payment as well. So it's a very good revenue source for the city. The technicalities of negotiating, the tough ones here, she negotiates hard and did very well. I'll have Kathleen kind of explain the process to you a little bit.
Well, the tower companies require 20 years as typical 4 or 5-year lease terms in their lease amendments because they need that length of time to attract users to locate on the tower. They need that security to be able to get the users to come onto the tower and lease with them. And so it promotes co-location, and it's a typical 20-year, 4 or 5-year terms when they renew their lease amendments.
When they renew, is it renegotiated, the prices? And what determines those prices for a cell tower?
Well,
how do you go about setting a figure?
Each tower site is different, and it depends on how many users you have on the tower, how much ground space they're leasing, and what the going rate is.
For this one, we were getting around 18,000. They've asked for a little extra land, so it's going to go to 32,000.
We did achieve a 5% annual rent escalation clause in all of our 3 lease amendments that we've recently done, and that is a very good rate.
It's just been very informative. I was interested. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one question before you leave. We can break these leases anytime we get ready, right?
Pardon me?
Can we break these leases anytime we get ready as the elected body?
There is a clause in the lease for a certain month notice.
Thank you. Just for the record.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve R14-098. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So the motion unanimous. Item E, Commissioner Merker.
Yes.
Did someone pull
It's a
D?
letter of agreement between Florida East Coast Railway, City of Boynton Beach, and all aboard Florida relating to the crossing agreements and railroad crossing referenced therein.
Okay. I think there's more to it than the way it's explained. My understanding is that we, Boynton Beach, the city, if we do not go along with this, we are responsible for any upgrades that are going to take place. It'll cost us. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, again, if we vote against this, the cost will be our burden If we go along with it, then the cost will be taken over by
If the city,
Florida Railroad.
if the city doesn't agree by the 16th of October, then all the costs to do the quiet zones would be on the city.
Well, that's what
Around
I'm
$1 million.
saying.
If we agree to this,
Well, I'm
they're
talking
going to
in
pay,
general.
so, okay.
I just have a question on it. These new improvements that the All Aboard Florida is going to pay for, Jeff, it's going to cost, what does it cost us now to maintain these 8 crossings that we have here in Boynton Beach?
Well, on an annual basis, it's around $5,000. That's just for energy in the ongoing
Correct.
maintenance. We do have the capital expenses in the future as they repair and upgrade
Okay.
their crossings.
And over here in the impact statement here, it says it's going to require an estimated additional 5,000 on top of the 5,000 we already, so it's going to be 10,000 per crossing?
Total.
Total.
Oh, that's going to be total.
But I just want to say that that's for the energy and just the routine maintenance of them. Periodically, the FEC will come in and they will redo the crossing pads. We've all seen it when the crossings are closed for 3 days. We'll have those expenses on top. That's not unexpected.
Okay, so total, we're looking at about 5,000 per crossing.
On an annualized
On an
basis,
annual
but we
basis.
did not capitalize the crossing repairs.
Okay, thank you.
I think we have somebody in the public wish to address this item. Thank you for waiting, sir.
Okay. Yes, there's going to be more to this than the expense. There is going to be a great deal of inconvenience to the community. They're talking about 32 trains running through here just for passengers. However, you know, it's a big issue. We have limited usage of the passenger service that we have now. And also an activist friend of mine in Orlando has seen the use of their, whatever it's called, Suntran or whatever up there, drop from 3,600 to 3,000. There has also been discussion that there's a hidden agenda, that this is being done more for the transportation of cargo than it is for people, that they're using the people aspect of this as an opportunity to get support for this project. It's going to cost our federal government $1.5 billion. This is an idea that came out of a boardroom similar to what came out of the idea of the inland port with Big Sugar seeing an opportunity with the Panama Canal being opened up and these ships coming in there with all the great things from China. And it looks like there's a possibility that this may be, you know, a boondoggle, just like what we had up in St. Lucie with this graphics operation up there. I think it's going to cause us more problems here in terms of the convenience of the community than it's going to be worth being the first to approve it. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you. What you're saying is pretty partially true, what you talked about. I don't know if you saw the paper today, but the All Aboard has gotten now, and according to the paper, have gotten private funding to do everything from Miami to West Palm Beach. And so they're not needing the federal funding anymore. So they're going to go ahead and start going. They're already starting down in Miami with the stations and stuff. So that it sounds like this commission has not been for or against it. We've not taken a stand either way. We've been pretty neutral on it. What we're doing here tonight is making sure that they're going to pay for any upgrade to the quiet zones. That's what's on our agenda tonight. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may add, our vote tonight on this doesn't indicate if we're for or against All Aboard Florida. What this is saying, in essence, is that this relieves the city of the burden of the cost of upgrading these 8 crossings at approximately $100,000 a crossing, which shouldn't be put on the taxpayers of Boynton Beach. So so whatever vote comes out of this tonight would indicate only saving the taxpayers of Boynton Beach, and not if we're in favor of All Aboard Florida.
Dr. Blas again. You have my 113 West Tara Lake Drive, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33436. All Aboard, my view of All Aboard Florida, and it is coming up in the governor's debates and stuff like that, if you follow the press, that they are being extremely arrogant with us. They are bulldozing everybody. They have private money, public money, whatever. As a citizen of Boynton, I told them, and I hope the commission will agree with me, we do absolutely nothing for them unless the train stops and serves our city of Boynton. We're not some little place out in the woods where they can rush 80 miles an hour and tell us how to live and stuff like that. So this is an invasion of the city The way it's being presented is either you agree or you're going to be extorted hundreds of thousands of dollars. This committee, I hope, will find a way to stop that. Absolutely not. Either you want to talk seriously with the city of Boynton, which is one of the most important cities in Florida, in my view, or no go. Thank you.
Steve Antone, 234 Southeast 2nd Avenue, Boynton Beach. A couple of things about the train crossings. I live near the train. We have a business near the train. We're actually looking forward to the train stop. But everybody keeps mentioning 32 trains a day. I'll agree, it's 32 trains a day, and they're going to pass by in less than a minute in most cases. A freight train going by takes 10 minutes. I have to pause the movie and wait for it to pass, and the engineers really, really like their horns. And living within a block of it, I hear them, and I can identify engineers by the way they honk that horn. It's not fun, but I've had to do that. So I am actually looking forward to a passenger train that's going to go by in 90 seconds. It'll a lot less pausing of movies. Like I said, it's also, I'm hoping with the Tri-Rail, I'm a disabled veteran. They now allow veterans free passes. And I know quite a few veterans that have difficulty in this neighborhood getting to the VA. This will be a benefit to them being able to do that because it's a lot easier to get there than on the other side of 95. There's going to be advantages. There's going to be problems. There's going to be advantages. I think in the long term, business-wise, things like that, transportation-wise, it will actually be a benefit. At least that's what I'm hoping. Thank you.
On spots 805 North Federal Highway. I wasn't really sure I was going to speak this morning, but hearing this, I believe there's a lot of confusion about this. We were hoping last time to clear up some of this confusion about All Aboard Florida. 1 month ago, All Aboard made a very disturbing presentation which left many on the commission doubting that All Aboard was telling the whole truth about their plans. I think they're right. I mean, over the past month, they looked at it even more. 2 years ago, All Aboard did its own environmental assessment. Since then, since they own the right-of-way on Florida land for their tracks, and they were funding it all privately, they really didn't need to do this environmental assessment 2 years ago. In this assessment, they could write anything they wanted. They claimed all kinds of things, and there was no one there to review it or no one to even dispute it. Even the Federal Railway Administration, in its finding of no impact, based on the information All Aboard gave them, said that if All Aboard ever actually applied for a loan, a new, real environmental impact statement written and reviewed by others would have to be done, and that the original environmental assessment they did could not be considered. But when All Aboard reversed course and applied for $1.6 billion in federal loans, the Railroad Administration has now reversed course also and decided to insert this environmental assessment written by All Aboard in its entirety, without reanalysis, without review, in place of a legally mandated environmental impact statement covering everything from Miami to West Palm Beach. This is how we got the ridiculous claim that adding 12 new freight trains and 32 high-speed passenger trains per day would actually decrease noise and pollution in South Florida. This is how we got the claim that there was only a few seconds delay in traffic as the trains go by. By their own environmental impact statement, there's also going to be what they call a queue, a backup, especially in the rush hour times, which could go up to several minutes for each train. Then they averaged it all out so that it didn't look so bad. It was also this same earlier assessment that according to All Aboard Florida, they expect a growth in the downtown Boynton area of less than 1% a year for the next 20 years. Why? Because we've had zero to negative growth, and that's not just Boynton Beach. That's what they claim is going to happen for the entire corridor except for like Fort Lauderdale and West Palm itself. This is a decrease in property values, and they expect that. So they're claiming that their trains won't impact it because you're already basically losers.
Okay, excuse me just a second. The item we're discussing tonight has nothing to do whether we're for or against All Aboard Florida. We're not voting on that. What we're voting on, if All Aboard was to go through, who's going to pay for the quiet zones? And we're voting on tonight, if they, for some reason, come to reality, they're going to have to pay to do the quiet zones, not our residents.
My concern is we're running out of time. 4 months ago, we came to you and said, what's going to happen here? And you said, it's just in the talking phase. There's nothing really going to happen here. 3 months ago, I asked this commission, what is our position on this? Can you tell the people of Boynton what's going on here? And it says, well, gee, I don't know. Let's have it on the meeting agenda. 2 months went by. All the board comes here. You didn't want to make a decision. You passed a motion, seconded it, and voted unanimously to do nothing. And now we're a month later. You're thinking about pulling. Okay, I got that. But when can we talk about this? In the past 4 months, 10 businesses have fled the downtown, by my count. That's 50 jobs. They're not being replaced. We're in deep trouble here. When are we going to address this? This is a serious issue, I fear. Any thoughts? We're running out of time here.
I've been getting calls, and I can tell you it's running 50-50. I get half the people say it's a great idea, they want it. The other half say they don't want anything to do with it. So I got mixed signals from the community.
But there's this misinformation, this tri-rail issue. According to the Sun Sentinel, they're going to need a third line for that. All the board's not paying for that. All the board signed a no competition agreement with tri-rail, saying that they're not going to provide, tri-rail is not going to produce high-speed train service, and all the board won't interfere with local transfers. So there's going to be no stops here for the foreseeable future. If tri-rail comes here, they're going to have to put a third line in, according to the Sun Sentinel. They're going to have to get their own funding. They're going to have to get their own approvals. That could be years away. And
Sir,
if that happens, if that's really what you want, because I've talked to CR officials.
Excuse me, but the mayor's point is well taken, which is you are off subject on the agenda item before the commission. Your points may be perfectly on point, but this is not the time or place to express them. The
Any
issue
idea
here
when
is the
will be the
approval or
right-
disapproval of an agreement for
Any
crossings.
idea when it'll be the right time and place? My point is that before you approve this, perhaps you can go back and negotiate with all the board a little bit better than what you got. Thank you.
Thank you. We have, is there a motion on resolution R14-100?
He wants to
Oh,
speak.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you get up.
I have questions. I wasn't in line. Neil Schiller with the law firm of Becker Polycock, 625 North Flagler Drive, Suite 700 in West Palm Beach. I'm here tonight representing All Aboard Florida. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. I will freely admit I am not an engineer. You have a really good engineer before you, but any questions I can answer, I'll be happy to do so.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick, you had a question?
Of Jeff. The resolution, let me put my glasses on, says, whereas there are 8 railroad crossings locations existing in the city of Boynton Beach, well, that will be impacted by the proposed high-speed rail project. Well, it doesn't add up for me. Who controls Gulfstream, us or Delray?
We do. The 8 are the 8 agreements that we have, is the reason that it's phrased that way. We have 8 current license agreements. There are 11 crossings in the city of Boynton Beach. Gulfstream is ours.
Okay, I counted 12, and that includes Minor. Does Minor...
Minor's not within our city limits.
Which 3 then are not? Why don't we have agreements for the 11?
We have the maintenance agreements or the license agreements for Boynton Beach Boulevard in the state of Florida. Woolbright and 23rd are Palm Beach County.
Okay. So we're responsible for 8 and state 1 and county.
That's correct.
Who does Minor? Is that Hypo?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So the motion is unanimous. Item F is proposed resolution 14-101 supporting a referendum placed on the November 4th ballot by the school board of Palm Beach County to continue an ad valorem levy for school operational needs. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. For the record, my name is Chris Garrison. I'm Director of Planning and Intergovernmental Relations for the school district. Before I get into the topic at hand, I want to emphasize how much the district values the partnerships that it's had with this community. And that starts at the top with the leadership sitting up at the dais. This is evidenced by your award-winning reading program from last year. I love the enthusiasm about continuing that this year. You have phenomenal reading programs. And as the mayor pointed out, if you encourage reading, especially over the summer, you are making an extraordinary difference in a child's life. So I applaud everything you do, your commitment to your schools. is outstanding, and it does not go unnoticed.
Thank you.
I also was glad to hear you recognize your extraordinary planning staff. They are indeed premier professionals, and I've had the pleasure of working with them for many, many years. So thank you for recognizing the planning profession, which I'm a member of.
More than welcome.
I'd like to run a very brief video. Did you pick the 30-second one, Lori? Okay. 30-second video, please.
Volume.
The last question on this year's ballot. It would continue a $250,000 levy approved by voters 4 years ago to fund enriched education programs in the Palm Beach County School District. This measure supports more than 500 arts, music, and physical education teachers, funds magnet and choice programs in 120 schools, and educates more than 90,000 students annually.
I'm Superintendent Wayne Jant, reminding you to vote on county question number 2.
Thank you for showing that. The district also very much appreciates your leadership in approving a referendum of support, a resolution of support. Referendums on my brain. But I would like to point out, we're passing along little business cards that have very succinct points. So if you want to carry them with you and a constituent asks you a question, you can speak intelligently to the matter at hand. But specific to Boynton Beach, it's important to understand that this community receives a lot of benefit from this levy that you just heard about. It was overwhelmingly approved by voters in 2010. It's on the ballot again this coming November 4th. In Boynton Beach, 28 teachers in art, music, phys ed, and choice and magnet programs are funded by this program. That's a value of about $1.5 million. So you can see that if it didn't pass, that would be a fairly substantial impact to the school district. If you want additional information, I have put some flyers on the table right at the exit door, so please do take one. Or if you want to go paperless, you can look at the website, the referendum website, which is 2014referendum.org or 2014referendum.info. And thanks again for your support.
Thank you.
Of education.
Thank you very much. Any commissioners have any questions on this?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Is there a motion on Resolution R14-101?
Second.
A motion is second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So the motion is unanimous. Proposed resolution number 14-102, authorize a notice of intent to address unknown impact in production and distribution of medical marijuana.
Just wanted to comment on this. This is on the ballot dealing with November. It's a very serious subject matter, both pro and con. To me, the two major points are where do you allow, if it passes, where do you allow the substance to grow, in what areas, how are you defining it and restricting it? And the second part, which of course is most important, I have personal opinion on this, is where you sell it. My opinion on this, it should be in a pharmacy. But I feel this is an important issue that we all should be aware of and realize that we should be voting on this and take it seriously.
Mr. Vice Mayor Casello.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, I put this on the agenda some months back to have this discussion on what we're here mainly concerned here in Boynton Beach is not so much the growing of the product, but the dispensing of it. Where are these dispensaries going to be located? How is it going to be dispensed? We don't want it to turn into another pill mill episode where we have people dispensing it from every corner here in Boynton Beach. What we have done here, the city manager and the law department has come up with a moratorium on it. So what that means to us here in Boynton Beach is that no one can apply for any kind of a permitting or a license to set up these dispensaries. We still have to wait till November 4th, this Amendment 2, if it passes or not. I'm going on record, I'm in favor of it. I think that medical marijuana, whether you're for it or not, but I think medical marijuana used in the right context is a great tool for the medical profession. And if it relieves somebody from pain and suffering, I'm all for that. What I'm not for is somebody stubbing a toe and going into these places to get relief from a stubbed toe. That I'm not in favor of. So there's a lot to consider here under these guidelines on how we're going to dispense it and who's going to do it and what's the criteria to be eligible to apply. So I think this moratorium of 6 months here, I think is going to give us time to look at this, and if it does pass, as the polls are indicating that it will, November 4th, and then we'll come back and we'll be ahead of the curve on this one here. Thank you.
Certainly.
For the record, I have already received calls from people talking about growing it. So when you negate the second issue that I brought up, I feel it's wrong. Both issues have to be thought about. And yes, the selling is that important. But like I said, I've already received calls from people considering buying buildings here and potentially growing it. So both parts are important.
As the good commissioner knows, that there's only going to be about 5 licenses issued in the whole state of Florida. And you've got to have been in the business of nurserying of over 30-plus years. The license itself is a $250,000 fee, and you've got to have millions of dollars to even consider to become a grower. And they're going to be chosen by a lottery-type system here in South Florida.
And as I said before, to reiterate, the people who called me have a few bucks. So, you know, you want to keep saying no to me. I'm not saying they received a yes, but it's an important part. And these people happen to have been from the New York area, and they were interested in this. And obviously, I really didn't have much to say. But the idea to blanket and make it black and white, you don't do that.
Commissioner McCray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the record, I have received no calls either way. Thank you.
I will just...
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Fitzpatrick. Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Originally, I was against bringing this up at this time because I thought it'd be a waste of staff time and bring it up after we know if it passed or failed, but I've reconsidered, and I think for the lead time staff needs that it's a good time to bring it up now, even if it doesn't pass, then, you know, we haven't lost too much.
I will... Go ahead.
Just for the record, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Fitzpatrick never inhaled.
I would just say that, you know, it's on the ballot in November, so if it passes or fails, if it passes, then the state would have to decide how they're going to regulate it. That's probably looking at 4 months, 6 months maybe before they come out, how they want to regulate it. And that why we're doing this tonight is we want to give us a moratorium to wait so we know what the state says, so that we can adjust our zoning and ordinances to work along with however the state says we got to do it. So that's the point of the thing tonight. We're just giving ourselves time to see what the state does, and then we can react to that. So if it passes, then we got to look at how we can regulate it here in the city. Yes, sir. Did you want to comment?
Mayor, just
Yes.
let me point out something procedurally. Our process for adopting a moratorium, if you will, notice of intent, requires that at this commission meeting, we announce it to the public. But the actual public hearing on it does not occur until the next meeting.
Okay.
So you would be within your right to limit any discussion tonight on it and invite anybody who wants to speak on it back to the public hearing on it.
Okay, so...
I'm not opposed to the moratorium. In fact, I think that it's in the spirit of proper planning, and obviously these are things that are going to have to be looked at in our city. It is a very big can of worms, so to speak. My reason for coming up here tonight, my name is Chris Williams. I was born and raised in Boynton Beach. I live at 1420 Southwest 28th Avenue in Gulfview Harbor. And I love Boynton. I call Boynton home. I don't plan on ever leaving. I just wanted to point out that Amendment 2 specifies that the Florida Department of Health will be billed with coming up with the rules and regulations that will put a very structured program in place so that there will be rules and there will be very specific merit-based decision-making processes as far as who is going to dispense it, who is going to grow it. I had the liberty of speaking with one of the chair people that are on the Florida for Care Committee. They're currently advising the Florida Department of Health, and Amendment 2 does specify, and you have to keep in mind that, you know, they are projecting that this is going to pass, and hopefully everybody here votes yes on Amendment 2 on November 4th. I know I will be voting, but there will be a 3-month period from January 6th when it would actually go into law. And within that 3-month period, it would be mandated that the Florida Department of Health gives everyone the rules and regulations. And then thereafter, they have 6 months within which to offer licenses to businesses and companies, and also to start actually giving people cards so that they'll be able to, you know, get safe access for medical cannabis. And please do remember that this is not going to be a situation like California. This is absolutely nothing like Colorado. This is going to be a highly regulated and structured environment, and it's going to be about compassion. It's going to be so that patients can have, so that they can have access.
I'm going to cut you off there
Thank
because
you.
we understand the next meeting, anybody wants to talk to it can. It'll be on the agenda again. But tonight, we're just setting the moratorium.
All right.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for your
Is there a motion on our 14-102?
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. Show the motion unanimous. Thank you. That takes us down to 7 bids and purchases over $100,000. Item A, approve the utilizing the state of Florida mobile communication services contract for wireless voice and data services with AT&T, Sprint, and Verizon for the fiscal year 2015 for the city departments requiring these services. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this item? Seeing none?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Show the motion unanimous. Item B is authorize the use of the United States Postal Service as a sole source vendor for fiscal year 2014-2015 for postage costs associated with the utility billing for an estimated amount of $140,000.
Question.
Let's have a motion, then we'll get a
So moved.
discussion.
Second.
A motion is second discussion. Commissioner McCray.
Right, thank you. I'd like to ask the city manager, these do not go out first class, right?
No, we have a bulk permit.
That's what I need here for the record. Thank you. Motion to approve.
Mr.
I
Mayor,
have a
just for
motion
the,
and second discussion. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Vice Mayor.
can we buy those forever stamps and lock in at
Our
them?
bulk permit's even better.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Nothing's forever.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Show the motion unanimous. Public hearing. City, proposed ordinance number 14013 on first reading. City Attorney.
Thank you.
Motion to remove from the table.
So is there
Oh, that wasn't,
a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Show the motion unanimous.
Ordinance 14013, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida regarding the application of Ron Rowan of High Ridge Housing LLC to rezone a parcel of land located on the northwest corner of High Ridge Road and Minor Road, is more fully described herein, from plan unit development with master plan for 110 single-family homes to plan unit development with master plan for 184 apartments. Imagine charter school and athletic fields, providing for conflict severability and an effective date. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding. Anybody who intends to testify needs to raise their right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. As the applicant present, please announce who you are, and the burden is on you to establish the basis for the relief you're seeking.
Good evening. My name is Jack Weir. I'm the president of East Wind Development. The address is 5604 PGA Boulevard, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. I'm also here as the principal of High Ridge Housing LLC, which is the applicant on this matter. I'd like to introduce the other members of the development team that we have here this evening. I have Brian Chegas from Cutler and Herring, and also his colleague, Jexy Schomburg. They are doing the landscape architecture and also the site design. I have my colleague, Ron Rowan, who is the vice president of development at East Wind. We have Mark Wiener and Associates, who is the architect. Our civil engineers are not here this evening, but it's the firm of Peter W. O'Court. And then we have our traffic engineers from Kimley Horm, Chris Hagan and Stephanie Kinlan. And finally, we have from our property management firm, Lincoln Property Management, Mary Linekin, who is the regional property manager. So, a little bit of background on East Wind. We are based locally in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. We work throughout the state, and we have 4 recently completed projects in Palm Beach County. The first one is Bridgewater at Lake Osborne, and we can go to the next slide. That is located on Lantana Road, just to the west of High Ridge Road. And the next one is Dakota at Abacoa. That is located in the Abacoa section of Jupiter. That is 190 units, and that was completed at the beginning of this past year. The third is Avernia Place, which is in downtown West Palm Beach. That is a senior living facility. And then finally, we have Riverwalk Point at Mangrove Bay. We have a rendering there as we're in the process of installing the landscaping now. The point I'd like to leave with you is that we are a high-quality developer, and we intend to do a first-class job on this residential community that's proposed for High Ridge Road. There are 2 aspects to the request for this. The first is a rezoning. And there are 3 parcels that constitute the High Ridge PUD. Left is south, so that's the residential parcel. The center part is a proposed playing field by the Learning Excellence Foundation. And then the one on the right is the Imagine Charter School, which is an existing facility. All 3 parcels were zoned as part of a 1 PUD in 2005. In 2009, the school left the PUD because that was the only way that it could be built. A school was not a permitted PUD use under the regs at that time. It subsequently became one. So now what the school is looking to do is basically to come back into the PUD, restore the PUD to what it was. And one thing that does is enables them to drain into the lake. If you look on that PUD, and you look at the school portion of the PUD, you'll see those green spots towards the top and the bottom. That's actually drainage on the site that they have to use. They discovered after they left the PUD they could no longer use the lake for drainage. It's obviously much more efficient overall for them to drain into the lake. And obviously it would knit them together with the playing fields immediately to the south there as well. So right now, the students at the school for PE have to run in the parking lot or the green areas. This will give them a regular playing field. The thing I wanted to emphasize here is we are not asking for an increase in the underlying density. It is 10 units an acre for the PUD, and that's what we're proposing to build and requesting from an entitlement standpoint. There is no land use change that we are requesting and no comp plan change. The site plan amendment is the other part, and that basically is a site plan approval for the residential portion at the south. There are 8 residential buildings, which total 184 units, a central clubhouse and a pool and club area, a gated entry. And Brian, if we can go to the site plan, it would be, it's designed to be a pedestrian-friendly community so that you don't need to go to a car to get to the central amenity for any other part. They're all within walking distance. A little bit of information about this residential community. There are 48 one-bedroom, one-bath units, 112 two-bedroom, two-bath units, and 24 three-bedroom and two-bath units. The rents are projected to range from $1,100 per month for the one-bedroom units to $1,600 per month for the three-bedroom units. The community will feature Key West-style architecture. Mark Wiener, who I introduced earlier, is the architect, and some of you may know him because he was also the architect of Seabourn Cove. The amenities will feature a 4,000 square foot clubhouse, a pool and a deck area. Both the clubhouse and the pool deck area will have Wi-Fi access, and we'll have a fitness center, cyber cafe, and a community room for functions such as baby showers and resident parties. Unit features will include impact glass, 9-foot high ceilings, stainless steel appliances, granite countertops, and wooden cabinets, and as well as an upgraded fixture package. This will be a green community. It will feature Energy Star appliances, water conservation plumbing fixtures, irrigation that'll be recycled from the lake, drought-resistant landscaping, reflective roofing that will reduce air conditioning bills, and low VOC paint, among other features. And this will be professionally managed by Lincoln Property Management. We have worked extensively with Lincoln Property over the last 15 years, and they also are a large national player. They are the third largest management company. And that is a rendering of what the community will look like. So, and that's the view from High Ridge Road. Couple concerns that have come up in the approval process that we wanted to touch on. One is parking. As the slide indicates, this project plans to utilize the city's proposed smart growth parking amendment to the land development regulations. The reason this particular project qualifies is because it is located within a half-mile of the Tri-Rail station. Other communities or other residential and commercial uses that would apply throughout the city, maybe by bus routes, and this is a citywide parking amendment. This project happens to qualify. In addition to the Tri-Rail station proximity, there are a host of other criteria, about 15 other criteria, that we have to satisfy, and that's what we've worked through staff to make sure that we satisfy them. The impact of using the smart growth regulations is to reduce the parking that's required from 380 spaces to 325 spaces, which is 1.77 parking spaces per unit. So that's part of what enables us to have a more pedestrian-friendly community with things closer together. So to make sure we weren't short on the parking, we had Kimley Horn look at 3 different studies: a study of local properties, a study of 13 apartment communities in the Dallas area, and then a national study. All 3 of them basically indicated that the average utilization in the sense of autos to units was 1.5 to 1.6 autos per unit in terms of what was needed from parking spaces. The other thing I would point out, it's a gated community. All parking is self-contained, and as noted previously, it's a pedestrian-friendly community. So I have discussed in our meetings with the commissioners a potential contingency plan for parking if they've felt comfortable with that, and we can elaborate on that during the Q&A period. The other major concern that surfaced during this was traffic. So when we first approached the approval process, we checked with if we met all concurrency standards in Palm Beach County, which we do. And we also determined that High Ridge Road is level of service A, which is actually the highest level of service. So we had met with a couple of the commissioners and then also met with the neighbors, and we got a sharply differing picture in terms of the amount of traffic congestion. So what we did was we basically took a pause in the process. We had Kimley Horn do a traffic study after school started, and they actually did a physical count. And then we went to the county. There were a couple or several findings that we saw as a result of their study and their observations. One is, while High Ridge is level of service A, the left turn and the intersection of High Ridge and Minor is considerably more difficult. It's particularly at the peak times. The other thing is you really have to look at the backdrop here. You have 2 high-intensity uses. Lake Worth Christian, which is to the north and on the east side of High Ridge, generates 400 trips during the peak hour, during the peak time in the morning, and another 400 in the afternoon, and their peak time, because they're a school, is 2 to 4. The Imagine Chancellor Charter School is a very intensive use. It's 900 trips in the morning, again, peak hour in that 7 to 9 window, and then in the afternoon, again, in that 2 to 4 window as well. So in contrast, High Ridge Landing, the apartment project, will generate 94 trips in the morning and 114 trips in the afternoon. So our afternoon peak is also in the 4 to 6 period, so our use, as you would expect, is more diffuse because people leave at different times for different uses. So even though we're not a major contributor to the traffic in terms of the added increment, we recognize we're the last kid on the block, and we have to deal with the fact that neighbors already weren't happy with the level of traffic, and they see us as coming in and making it worse. So, you know, we could wring our hands or we could try and solve the problem, so we opted for the latter approach. So if I could step back and just describe the infrastructure improvements that we'll be doing on High Ridge Road here. There are several categories, and the first is beautification, and these are primarily things that the city is either looking for or requiring. So there will be a fence along the west side of High Ridge Road, and that'll be a decorative black aluminum fence with brick columns, periodic intervals, and that will actually go, that fence will be extended all the way to the southern edge of the school. There will then be landscaping along that frontage area there. There will be a sidewalk that again will go from the northwest corner of Minor all the way up to the southern edge of the school. There will be a sodded drainage swale, so there'll actually be grass there. And then a fairly major improvement is there will be streetlights. Right now the streetlights end further south on High Ridge Road, so we will be installing FPL standard streetlights on the west side of High Ridge from Minor up to the northern edge of our property, and then it would be continued up to the school. So that's what I've termed the beautification infrastructure improvements. The other is traffic circulation. One is that we will have a dedicated left turn lane that will be going from the south, and that will go into our project entry. And then we will be adding a right turn lane, which will in essence be a fourth lane from our project entry down to High Ridge Road. As I mentioned before, we had met with the county 3 times after our traffic study, and the findings that we had with them was that the present traffic does not meet the warrants for a traffic light at the intersection of High Ridge and Minor. A little bit unusual. These are both county thoroughfare roads, but no traffic light was warranted. The county did approve our addition of the right turn lane. They thought that was a good idea. They also agreed per letter, which should have been sent to the staff yesterday, to do a follow-up study 1 year after we received the certificate of occupancy on our project to assess whether a 4-way stop sign would be warranted or whether a traffic light would be warranted based on an increased traffic. So we had suggested to them, and we will suggest again at the time after our CO, that they install a stop sign on a temporary 3-month test period basis to see what the impact would be before they proceed with it either on a permanent basis or a traffic light there. And finally, we offered, again during our discussions with the commissioners, the possibility of a traffic light surety arrangement so that there would be a way to pay for the traffic light if one was warranted. Finally, we've had several meetings with the neighbor. We had one basic informational meeting, and when I say the neighbors, it's really with the Cedar Ridge neighborhood, which is across the street. And then we had another meeting in which we basically prodded for suggestions as to ways that we could improve the situation. And out of that second meeting, there were a couple suggestions. One was to basically put a curb and landscaping on either side of the Cedar Ridge entry, which is on the east side of High Ridge. And so that curb and landscaping, among other things, would basically prevent people from the school from parking there during pickup. That, again, came up as a topic during our meetings, that they were concerned about the school parking. So we offered that and are prepared to do that. And then the other thing, one of the suggestions was to extend the streetlights up to Lake Worth Christian to cover what a couple of the neighbors regarded as a dark area. And we offered to do that as well, subject to the city's approval. So we did attempt to have a third meeting to present these concept plans for what they had suggested, but the neighbors declined to meet with us on that third meeting. Other neighborhood concerns that came up, and I'll summarize briefly. One is that the apartments will bring in more transient residents who will degrade the neighborhood, who won't contribute to the community. So, as previously noted, these intend to be high-quality apartments. I gave you the rent range, and we really researched the issue. We are clearly targeting millennials, young people, new blood to bring in, and people who work for area employers. So we did our research, and what we wanted to do was determine, well, Cedar Ridge consists of 34 single-family homes and 110 multifamily townhomes. So we suspected, based on our experience, that some of those townhomes were rental, and we discovered 9 townhomes in Cedar Ridge had been rented for during the past 6 months. The rents on those averaged about $1,500 a month, which is actually slightly less than our 3 bedrooms, considerably less on a rent per square foot basis because they're 3 and 4 bedroom units, they have garage, they're bigger units. So from a fact and data standpoint, our rents are actually slightly above the rents for the townhome units that were rented. The other distinction, of course, is our units are going to be professionally managed by Lincoln. So we have rules, we have leases, we have addendums, and if residents don't comply with those, they'll be forced to leave. Obviously, in a more ad hoc rental situation like you have with the townhome, that's a private contract between the landlord and the resident, and you as a neighbor have relatively little say over that. So we feel pretty comfortable with our quality control from a resident standpoint. The other is that the apartments will lower property values. So, well, again, sticking with our approach of facts and data, we looked at what the recent sales were, the 3-bedroom townhomes in Cedar Ridge. So in 2014, there were about 8 sales that were in the median group, and those were between $150,000 and $173,000 per unit. So the average was probably about $160,000. I can tell you, based on what we're presenting to our financial sources, construction lender, that based on NOI, we're projecting a value of approximately $175,000 per unit. So again, we're not decreasing property values. We're not below what's there now. And as some of you know, it was widely reported in the financial press, Seabourn Cove sold for $278,000 per unit. The next objection was that Boynton Beach has too many apartments already. It's being flooded with apartments. So we looked at a summary prepared by Marcus & Millichap, national real estate firm, that they recently completed. And they analyzed projects that were recently completed, under construction, or planned. So we compared Boynton to other local cities, so Boca and Delray. The count was that Boca had 19 new multifamily projects in that category. Delray Beach had 14, and Boynton has 5. So I would suggest not only is Boynton not being flooded, but it lags in terms of production of this. And there are a couple other indicators that seem to bear that out. Vacancy rate in Boynton in August was down to 3.2%. So when you factor in turnover, you factor in older apartments, for new product, you're basically at full occupancy. And this was confirmed by the increase in the median rents. Median rents increased 9.2% in the last year in Boynton Beach. So that's a large increase. That means the rents an average person was paying went up almost 10%. And finally, as many of you know, before the Great Recession, which basically stopped the supply and the production of apartments for 5 years, you had almost a 5-year period of condo conversions in which rental apartments were converted to condos. So the net effect of that is there are presently fewer apartments in Boynton Beach today in 2014 than there were at the end of 2002. And not by a few, over 1,300. So there is a fairly dramatic, we believe, need for it. One of the other suggestions that came up is, well, why not single-family homes on this site? Brian, if you can go to the next slide there. There's single-family housing to the north of the school, and you, of course, have Cedar Ridge. The single-family portion of Cedar Ridge is on the north side there. The multifamily is to the south and actually buffers the warehouses, flex space, and light industrial. So the problem with that now is you have the school, which sort of sealed off the single-family to the north, and now you have the playing fields. So what you're left with is sort of this rump piece at the bottom there. Maybe you could get 60 single-family homes, but you're across the street from warehouse, light industrial, flex space. You're north of warehouse, flex space. So it's really not a good transition. If the school had been in the south and the original configuration had been flipped, it might have made more sense. But now you've got a small community. It's not going to sell for a large price because of the neighboring uses. And it's also small enough that it won't be able to contribute to the infrastructure improvements in any meaningful way, but it will contribute to traffic because they're going to be bigger units. So the final question that we had was, well, why rental? And the issue with rental is clearly there's an increased demand. You have students coming out of college, they have debt, they're not ready to rush into home ownership. There's an increased emphasis on job mobility, there's less job security. One of the big problems we saw during the Great Recession was that people had another job opportunity and they were tethered to their house because it was underwater on their mortgage. So I don't think the American dream of home ownership has receded, but I think people who got burned during the recession have ongoing credit problems, or have come out of school and they've got student debt or they're uncertain about their job. I think they're more cautious, and I think that's actually wise from a financial standpoint. So we see this because the home ownership rate, after peaking at the height of the subprime boom at 69%, now has basically gone back down to about 64%. And in Palm Beach County, those trends are more accentuated. We peaked at 71%, and right now we're down to 59%. So there's clearly a market demand for rental. Some of it's cyclical, but some of it is secular. And I think that we're filling an important market need and a community need in providing good quality housing so people who want to live in the area, work in the area, live here after they graduate from college, have an opportunity to stay here as well. Finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about the economic benefits. As I've mentioned to some of you, this will be a $25 million plus investment in the Boynton Beach community. We expect it to generate over $5 million in tax revenues over the next 15 years. The construction from this job will benefit over 50 subcontractors and suppliers. And many of those will be locally based. The city will realize over $109,000 in park impact fees, over $100,000 in public art fees, over $300,000 in building permit fees, and approximately $500,000 in utility capacity fees. The county will receive $1.1 million in impact fees. We are, as I mentioned, going to be constructing substantial infrastructure improvements within the High Ridge corridor, and we estimate the value of those in the upper end to be up to $500,000. And finally, this is high-quality housing for a local workforce. This is filling a need that's currently not being served. The applicant's in agreement with all 40 conditions of approval that staff has recommended. The DART staff, after the DART process, the staff recommended approval of the process. And in summary, we're going to dramatically improve the appearance and funding of the High Ridge corridor. We're going to provide the city of Boynton Beach with a significant economic benefit. We're going to bolster area businesses and provide jobs, provide high-class and high-quality workforce housing to area employees. And this is a classic infill community. This is the last major development site on High Ridge Road. So it's going to be a green community located near shopping, schools, jobs, and mass transit. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Commissioner McRae.
Thank you. My first question is at Lincoln Property Management, where they're located.
Okay, their southeast region is based in Duluth, Georgia, but they have an office down in Plantation.
Thank you. This one is for staff. The letter that he spoke about from the county, did you all receive it today? Y'all did? I'm just saying, why did we not get a copy? Did I get a copy and miss it?
Distribute it if you'd like us to.
But it would have been helpful. I'm just saying, if I have to look at something, I'd like to see all the paperwork, you know. I'm good.
Yeah, We have 184 apartments, and you said it's going to generate 94 trips. How do you come with that? 184 apartments and only 94 trips?
Okay, I'll have Chris go into it, but let me just, as a general rule, what they do is they look at a single hour during the peak period, which is a 7 to 9 period. So that's how we get that. Doesn't mean it generates 94 trips over the entire day. It's during a peak hour in the peak period. So that's how it does that. Chris?
Good evening. For the record, Chris Hagan with Kimley Horn Associates at 1920 Wekiva Way in West Palm Beach. As Jack mentioned, the traffic study that we performed was using the rates and equations that are adopted by the Palm Beach County Traffic Division. Those are actually also based on rates and equations that are published by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, which is the national standard for developing traffic impact studies. But for analysis purposes, what we look at is the AM peak hour. So it's a 1 hour period in the morning, and then the PM peak hour, and that's a 1 hour period in the evening. So using the rates and equations, it comes up with 94 trips during that 1 hour window. And part of that is because you may have neighbors, somebody leaves for work at 6:30 in the morning. Their neighbor may leave at 7:15 in the morning. The next neighbor may leave at 7:45 in the morning. The next may leave at 8 o'clock in the morning. The next may leave at 8:30 to drop off kids at school, et cetera. So you have all of those units generating trips during the morning period, but then when you whittle it down to a 1 hour period, not every single unit has people coming and going in their cars during that one time. And again, these rates are established based on counts that are conducted. If you look at it over the course of the day, every unit in there would generate multiple trips, but when you whittle it down to that 1 hour period, it's not one trip for every single unit because it gets spread out as people have different schedules, different needs, and different places to go during each hour.
So it's really just a snapshot of actual trips.
It is, yeah. And again, the 1 hour period is really the that's the analysis that we look at because that's really the critical piece. When we do traffic impact studies, we're looking at the peak hour, which is typically the morning rush hour, and in the morning, and then the peak hour in the evening, which coincides with the evening rush hour. And it's that 1 hour window that we base all of our calculations and analysis on to look at to really hone in on what a rush hour condition is.
You made a statement that many contractors will be locally based. Have you already hired contractors or have contractors lined up, or is that just a general statement?
It's a statement based on our experience with Bridgewater at Lake Osborne, which is located 2 miles up the road. We recently closed that job out, so we looked at where the subcontractors came from, where the suppliers came from. On that one, the site work was already done. Site work will generally provide 5 to 8 subcontractors. So on that one alone, there were 48.
Okay. In this smart growth regulation, we haven't passed that yet, have we?
It's on for second read tonight.
Okay, but
It's been adopted on first reading and has one more
first reading, so it could or could not pass tonight. What would be your plan B if the parking spaces didn't pass, that smart growth didn't pass?
Plan B would be to enter into an option agreement with the school and do a strip along the north side of our property for 55 spaces to make up the difference. The scenario that I presented to the commissioners was that, we think it makes sense from a citywide standpoint, independent of our particular project. So what we had said was that there is a reporting requirement built in, and if we were built and it determined that we had a shortage of parking, we were willing to exercise an option and build that additional parking there.
Who will be doing the athletic fields for the school if this project goes through?
Pardon me?
Who will be actually building that athletic field for the school?
The school is building their own athletic field.
Okay, so you'd have no part in that?
Well, we've had discussions with the school about certain infrastructure improvements, not the playing field itself, but areas involving the lake and along High Ridge Road.
So the school stands to benefit from this project?
Well, they stand to benefit from the rezoning in a couple ways, and they would stand to receive some benefit from the project. I believe that would be the case.
And through the city manager, how does the school benefit Boynton in the form of tax revenue?
They're tax exempt.
So they don't pay nothing into the city of Boynton Beach?
No, they're part of the school district, so they're tax exempt.
Okay. And is it my understanding charter schools, they actually take public funding out of the public school funding to use? That's a discussion for another day. Okay. Well, the way I see this project is that this originally 18.4 acres of land, it was a nice piece of land at one time, and it has been divided a couple of times now for the sake of profit, which is great. That's what this country's all about. I have no problem with that. But now you're asking us to do a redo, to like encompass the 18.4 acres, like there's not a school there, there's not like an athletic field under the PUD, to take them back in after they opted out, so they could build a school. Now they want to come back in. I think that, you've got to live, you made your bed, and you got to lie in it. I am pro-growth. As you know, that we've voted for 500 Ocean Ave. We're going to put 341 rental units, market rental units up there. At some point, it's going to be coming out of the ground. We just recently voted in Commissioner McCrae's area for 202 rental units on there on Ocean Breeze East, which is going to be a great project. I voted for that. Now, this is a great project. Make no mistake about this. This is a great project. But great projects need great areas. We're trying to shoehorn 184 transit housing units into a parcel of land that you need to, it doesn't fit. And if it doesn't fit, I say no. The thing that we haven't talked about on this project is aesthetically and cosmetically, as well as it's going to look on the outside, is the quality of life of the residents, the long-term residents who've lived in that area in those homes in Cedar Ridge. We haven't talked about that. We've talked about what it's going to generate the income for the city and this and that, and how nice it's going to look, but we haven't talked about quality of life issues. Our own Planning and Development Board has turned this project down back in July for multiple reasons. I still think those reasons still stand, and this commissioner here is going to be a no vote on this. Thank you.
Are we going to listen to the public first, or y'all want to
I just have one question of the traffic engineer.
Go ahead.
If I heard correctly, there was the Image School, or Imagine, does 900 trips, and, 900, and the other one does 450?
Around 400. It's,
400.
Right.
So that's like 1,300, and you're adding another 94, which is actually only increases it like 6% then.
Correct.
So during the peak hour, it'll be 6% worse.
And it's important to emphasize, and that's just sheer numbers. There are multiple routes that the traffic will take to go to and from the apartment community. So some will go north on High Ridge, some will go south, some will go west on Minor. So it gets dispersed pretty quickly as well.
Right, but it's not like doubling or anything. It's
No.
only going to be 6% more during the peak hours.
Correct.
of-
About
of
6%, a fraction of what the schools generate.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. First of all, I want to tell staff thank you for getting me the letter. Second of all, I want to ask the developer, you said that you tried to have a meeting with them for the third time and they did not want to meet. Did they give you a reason why they did not want to meet?
No, we had a meeting where we solicited ideas on improvements for the corridor that might benefit them. So then we did a concept plan, and the idea was to basically present it to them and explain it. So we contacted one of the residents who was serving as sort of an informal liaison, and he had talked to some of the other residents that they didn't want to meet.
Is this the first time that they've seen what we just seen tonight?
I think they haven't seen this whole slideshow. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm good.
I just want to say that we did listen. I had input from the community before. We listened. I know your concerns. You were very open about them, so I really know what a lot of your concerns are. But how many people here are wanting to speak to this tonight? Can I have a show of hands? Because I don't want... Okay, what I'd like to see, it seems we've heard it all before. If you could select, assuming that you're going to be... How many are speaking against it? How many are going to be speaking against it? If you could pick 4 people, because you're basically going to be telling us the same thing. If you could pick 4 people to represent you to come up and speak to the commission, I'd appreciate that, because otherwise we're going to be here till after midnight, and we already know a lot of what you're going to say. So, all right. Well, you'll get to speak. You'll get to speak. And how many? Is there anybody here wants to speak for the project? Is any hands?
Mr.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
would a compromise be that like a minute and a half instead of normal 3 minutes?
Well,
I think you're right.
I think.
4 people.
Well, we can either
4 people.
do 4 people for 3 minutes or a minute and a half and let you all talk.
No, you got
I don't know.
an hour and a half that way.
Yeah.
For people for 3 minutes.
I would have. They don't.
You're all for good night.
Okay.
They don't have, ask for the president if there's a president of it or whatever they see.
What did we do, 4 minutes?
Go ahead. Okay, I'm going to limit it. If all these people want to talk, you're going to get a minute and a half to 2 minutes each. And we will time. Can we put the clock up there? Who's running the clock?
We're getting it reset.
Okay, not 3 minutes though.
No, they all want to talk. They're going to say the same thing.
I know, but it's
The 2-minute drill goal.
it's
It's democracy.
yeah.
Oh, you like it or not, it's democracy.
I know, but it's another hour. Because it's all against it. That's why you want to hear it.
Long gone. We'll work from 3. I'll just count it out. All right. Mayor, we'll go from 3, and I'll let you know when it's a minute.
Okay.
And
I won't
and
be
if
long.
each speaker.
Now, I
to
would
do
just say this. If you agree with what the person said before you, you can just say, I agree with them if you don't have anything new to offer. Go ahead.
All right. Hi, my name is Cassandra Barbosa, and this is my husband, Edgar Barbosa.
Hold it. We couldn't hear you.
All right.
We want to start again.
Okay.
Name and address.
Mayor, before the first speaker does speak, just a reminder to the audience that the commission, this is a business meeting of the commission. This is not a sporting event. If you would please refrain from applauding and clapping and cheering, we'll be able to move very quickly so that everybody is heard completely and everybody has the opportunity to speak. Thank you for that consideration.
Thank you.
All right. Hi, my name is Cassandra Barbosa. This is my husband, Edgar Barbosa. We live at 205 Northeast 3rd Street, apartment 207, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33435. I am a millennium. I'm a school teacher for Palm Beach County. I teach 3rd grade at Palm Springs Elementary. And my concern for this project, as a former resident of Cedar Ridge, I lived there my whole entire life, went to Lakewood Christian School, have seen the traffic issues. My concern is about the parking. I know for me as a professional, a new professional, me and my husband both have a car, so we have 2 cars. So first off the bat, if we were wanting to rent, we would not be able to because we both have 2 cars and we both have separate places that we have to be at work each day. If I was single, I would not be able to afford that rent, considering that I only make $2,000 a month after other things get taken out of my paycheck for taxes and insurance. So I would have to get a roommate. So for me, as a millennium, a new professional, I would not see this project as beneficial for me. So if those are the people that you're trying to target, I think that it would be better if there was more parking and in a different area. So that's my concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Danny Underwood. I live at 28 Maplewood Court, Cedar Ridge, and I've been speaking against this project since it came before the Planning and Zoning Board in July 22nd. This place has already been expressed. It does not have enough parking under the current code or the current directives. Where are the people going to park? The developer knows that he does not have enough parking. He is trying to negotiate with the school to park on part of their property now at night. You don't build a project if you can't accommodate the people that you're going to put in it. You don't buy 2 horseshoes for a 4-legged horse just because he stands on his back legs every now and then. You don't negotiate with your neighbor for 2 more horseshoes. We have heard a lot tonight about estimates, projections, statistics. and they've all been backed up by beautiful slides and everything. We haven't heard anything about the economic impact that the developments they have already created and developed have brought to Palm Beach County. The one Bridgewater comes out on Lantana Road, 3-lane highway, does not come out on a 2-lane road, High Ridge Road and Minor Road. And whereas they went to the county and DART, whoever DART is, approved the plan, your own Planning and Zoning Commission turned it down. And one of the reasons they turned it down, which I still have not heard addressed yet, maybe we will tonight, on that project.
Mayor, that's 1 minute and 30 seconds.
On the west side of the school, there's ingress. You heard him say there's going to be ingress and egress. That school was given permission to build there under the premise that that road on the west side of that property would be used to go into the school. It's a 2-lane road. This developer proposes to put a gate on that 2-lane road. You have people dropping off their kids now along High Ridge Road and parking in our community.
Okay.
What are they going to do when that road is blocked
Your
off?
time's up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask the developer, excuse me, sir? Can I ask you a question? A point that was just made, and I'd like you to define yes or no. You said that if it doesn't go through with the parking, you are going to be seeking the 50 some odd spaces.
55.
55. Do you have that? Is that you're able to get it? In yes or no?
Well, we have to go to the LEF board, and I'm sure they would want certain infrastructure improvements. So we've raised it conceptually, but we haven't done a presentation to them. So, I mean, what I would expect would be that if that was the way you wanted to go, that would be a condition of permit issuance.
So it's not written in stone yet?
No, it wouldn't be because.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Kelly Ann Shulo. I live at 7621 High Ridge Road. I do not live in Cedar Ridge. I am not part of the Cedar Ridge community. I have been living directly on High Ridge Road since 1999. I want to say, and I want to point out this and make this very clear, that they are assuming that these apartments are going to rent out. I am a millennial. I am 21 years old. I live at home. I go to school in Boca. I'm a history major at FAU. And I work retail. I work at a store in the mall. And recently, my store manager can only afford, and he is not a millennial, he is in his 40s, and he can only afford $1,100 a month. So this is expecting millennials like me, and if you want good, affluent millennials, you're not going to get them in this area. And if they want a walking community, there's one place to walk. You either have to go to the Tri-Rail station or you go to Publix. You cannot walk to the mall. You cannot walk to any real sort of businesses aside from the Quantum Plaza. And I want to make this very clear that a millennial who may not have a car, like they're assuming, is going to move where they're not going to have to walk 1.5 miles to get to the places that they hang out. There's no buses on High Ridge Road. You'd have to walk to Congridge, which is halfway up Minor Road, which has no lights and only has very limited sidewalks. It's also a very heavily wooded and dark area. Thank you.
We ask if you don't do that because we're trying to keep it moving, please.
My name is Joseph Basil. I live at 5 Oakwood Court. I'm also a developer, so I've dealt with the city on previous occasions over the last 40 years doing business here. I don't really have a problem with a rental project going into the site. That's not my issue. The issue is more, as the commissioner had stated, is what we're doing is we took a piece of property. It was PUD'd for 110 units or 180 some units at one time, I believe. and then we subdivided that piece, chopped it up for economic reasons, which was understandable. I mean, that's what we do for a living. Now we're down to how many acres do we have left? 8 acres? Is there that many acres? How many acres do we have? Are we sitting on? Not the whole PUD, the site that you have that you're actually developing. Because the school, we keep forgetting, we use this PUD, we're using all of this property, we're putting it all back together after we added 1,000 students plus the ball fields, and then we're going to add 184 units. The 184 units were designed for that whole site, not the other 1,000 students that go to that school. That was not part of the original PUD. Okay, so the PUD that we have now that has way short parking, and they know it, we know it. I mean, like I said, I do this for a living. And 1.7 doesn't cut it. And there's been 3 or 4 different projects that have been turned down in other cities at 2.2 and 2.1 per unit. Lantana just turned one down for the Senecal property on Dixie Highway. They came in at 1.9 and they wanted 2.3.
Do you want me to answer your question?
Because parking is an ongoing issue.
Did you want me to answer your question?
If you want to talk, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll let you reply to that one.
Right.
Your
So
time is
the
up.
amount of acreage in there, as was up on the slide, is 8.33. So we didn't make up the PUD regulations. The PUD regulations basically said you get 10 units for the entire PUD. That's what your regulations say. The only reason we're having the rezoning is because the school had to go out and had to go back in, or wants to go back in. They had to go out because that was the only way they could build the school. As a developer, you know, they had to make a pragmatic choice, and it cost them because they now have drainage facilities that they have on the site. It's a less efficient use of their site. So there are other areas of Boynton where you have densities of 20 units per acre, and we would be right in line. It happens that our particular slot is 10 units per acre for the PUD. We're not changing that. We're not increasing the density. That's what your rules are. We're trying to play by the rules of the city.
Well, no, you came and you changed the rules when you came back in and took a PUD that was abolished, and you subdivided it and removed out of the PUD, and then put it back together after the fact. That changes the rule. You wouldn't be here in front of the council if it met all the requirements. You wouldn't be asking for a zoning change.
First of all, the school did it. We didn't do it. The school did it independently, and that was the only way they could do it at the time because it wasn't a permitted use. It wasn't their preference.
Am I correct?
It wasn't their preference. They were
Okay.
forced to.
We're not going to get back into, we're not going to debate. Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Pam Wiggum, 128 Spruce Street, Boynton. I live in Cedar Ridge. I agree with everything that Vice Mayor said. I just want to say, because nobody brings it up, and I bring it up every time, you have to make some kind of plan for first responders. During the peak hours, if one of those children gets hurt when they're walking along this dirt road, the dirt on High Ridge, and the hundreds of cars are going by, and a kid gets hurt, and there's all that traffic, firefighters will not be able to respond in the correct time. I urge you to look at that. The road is not wide enough for the traffic that is there now. Add 94 more cars. I am seriously concerned about the safety of the children and the other people in the community when and if, hopefully never, one of those children jumps out in front of the car when they're walking along the dirt. Hopefully the city could look into putting some no parking signs and having some police officers.
There's going to be
patrol that.
sidewalk. There's going to be sidewalk.
Okay. Okay, if it's approved.
If
Hopefully
it's
it won't be.
approved, there'd be sidewalk, yes.
All right. Even walking there, are they going to widen the road? The road is very skinny. Then when the firefighters come through, what are they going to ride on the sidewalks? So that is a real huge concern. All this stuff, the road is not wide enough.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, if I can respond on that one too?
All right.
There's a third lane in the middle. It's a left turn lane. You can go south and left turn into Congress, and you can go north and left turn into our community. What we're proposing, as I mentioned in this presentation, is to add a fourth lane, but you already have a middle lane that would be ideally suited for emergency responder access. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I say something here? To expedite this here, let's not have the back and forth here. The developer had his say, he showed his slide.
Well, that's up to me to run the meeting, and if they have if he can make a point, I think that was good information.
You're right.
They said it wasn't wide enough, he was telling how they're adding lanes. So I think that's good information. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name's Steve Rosa. I'm the Vice President of Cedar Ridge Homeowners Association. I live at 17 Pepperwood Court. I don't want to take up your time. You do have a video in the back that I brought that I couldn't show the last time. If you see that video, that's my own traffic study. It took me approximately 12 and a half minutes to get out of Cedar Ridge to Minor Road and to back. So I give the rest of my time to the video.
No, that's it's an 11-minute video. What it shows is cars going up and down High Ridge Road. You can watch traffic for 11 minutes, and I don't want to do that. Go ahead. I agree with you. I know it's there. I agree. Yeah, I know you have 11 minutes of showing the cars, and it's constant. For 11 minutes, we can watch cars going up and down the road. You're right. I understand you. Yes.
My name is Tom Sutterfield. I live at 3848 Edgar Avenue. With all due respect, a minute and a half after 6.5 years of working on this project is going to be a little short. I came in front of this board 6 years ago asking to build the school on the 4.22 acres on the north side of the parcel. If you remember, this was an old horse farm. And our intent was to stay in the PUD. This was a failed townhome community that had failed. We started our school at the old National Enquirer building in Lantana. And we were looking for a place to build the school. And we came to Boynton Beach because it was where I lived and where I wanted the school to be built. We worked with your planning committee. We worked with your staff. And we worked on finding this parcel because it was already part of the Boynton Beach city. Okay? When we started the project, you can see the green space in front of the school and behind the school. That was our playground area. We had already started building the school. The walls were already going up when the South Florida Water Management District told us that because we were asked to leave the PUD, not that we requested, Commissioner Costello, we didn't ask to leave the PUD.
The law required you to leave the PUD, correct?
Right. The law required us to so we left the PUD because that was what was required. The South Florida Water Management says, well, now that you're out of the PUD, you can no longer use the lake. So our drainage in the back and the front, our play fields are now drainage. So we immediately then started, well, let's buy some more land or find a way so the kids aren't playing in the parking lot. 3 years ago, we approached the city and we said, here's what we want to do. We want to buy the next 5 acres. We bought the next 5 acres 19 months ago and been making payments on that for 19 months.
Let me interrupt because you ran out of time, but are you for it or against it? Are you for the project or against it?
We need to have a PUD in order to build our soccer field. So we need the PUD because that's what the city has requested us to join the PUD.
Okay.
We said we would join the PUD,
Okay.
but we're trying to do what's right for the students and provide some green space.
Okay.
We've been paying a mortgage for 19 months. We're trying to just build a green space.
I know you don't have a lot of time, but before a meeting prior to this, I gave people more than 3 minutes each, and we listened to all the concerns. So that's why we're cutting it short tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Leanne White. I have been with Imagine Chancellor for 14 years. I am not only an employee, I'm a parent at the school. All 3 of my children have attended that school. The only purpose of the Imagine Chancellor family that's here is all we're asking for is to do something to allow us to move forward so our children have a safe place to play rather than a parking lot in between cars where they're getting hurt, broken legs, broken arms. Our governing board members did come to the city with our intentions on the playfield, which was approved, and we did purchase that land. We are taking money out of our own Imagine charter school budget to move forward with that land, and we're paying those payments, and our children still have nowhere to play other than a parking lot. And we're just asking for your help in allowing us to move forward to finding and letting us develop a safe place for our kids to play. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Stephanie Stanley. I'm the assistant principal at Imagine Chancellor, the proud assistant principal at Imagine Chancellor. We have a student body of over 1,000 students, K-8. And it is a travesty to go outside and see these kids having to play in a parking lot every day when we have purchased the land and we just need to build our field. We have a very successful athletic program due to state statutes. Those children are required to have 30 minutes of recess a day, K-8. We have an excellent PE program and athletic program. And it is a disservice to our children that we are not able to build this field. So I respectfully ask you to allow us to build this field. Thank you.
Good evening. We're teachers from Imagine Chancellor. She teaches language arts. I teach math and science. We just want to guarantee you that if you would see your way clear to let us have the land that we paid for, we'll make it look good for you. We have a science teacher here that is excellent. We're going to do a first-class job. So oh, sorry. Okay.
Hi. I'm Robin Baumser. I've taught at Imagine Chancellor for was this our 14th year. We've been in the Palm Beach County school system since 2001. Our kids are playing in an area that's unsafe. We have our athletic director here, Coach Mark, who is trying to conduct an after-school athletic program, and we play a lot of the different middle schools in the area. We have no home field to offer to our students. We're always the visitors. We're always the away team. As you saw from the poster, our kids are playing on concrete. We have projects. We're community partners with 4-H. We have a lot, a greenhouse, an outdoor science lab planned for that space, and we will make it look fantastic.
Thank you.
We just need a place for our kids to play safely.
The Vice Mayor has a question.
Just a quick question. You said you have you can't have home games. So you're going to have athletic contests there, competition there, which would bring in more traffic?
Well, I wouldn't say that.
This is...
Well, how are they going to get there, man?
Well, here's the deal. Right now, our programs are very limited and they're late in the day. So I don't think it's going to interfere with our traffic at 4 o'clock because they play their games in the late afternoon, like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So maybe sometime 6. Yeah. Right now we're sort of using Lake Worth Christian's field when we can get it. And our teams are like 8 and 10. I think our baseball team is 9 people. Now, the attendance might increase. I can't promise you that. Sure. But, you know, we have 1,100 parents, sir, that really want us to move forward to make opportunities for their children.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Point of information, the first person didn't state their name.
I'm sorry. Oh, thank you. Carol Sight, 6th grade, math and science.
Good evening. My name is Sammy Carroll. I'm the PTA president at Imagine Chancellor, and our son is a first grade student there. And as a parent, all I want to tell you is that it breaks my heart to hear him talk about the heat and doing PE out on a parking lot, especially knowing that we have land that we are paying for that could be used as a better place for our students. As a PTA president, I am on campus a lot, and I watch those students out there sweating with the heat radiating off of that asphalt, and they deserve better than that for their PE time that we are providing for them as an enrichment time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. My name is Curtis Hall. Live in 2128 Northeast 4th Court. I have 2 kids in Imagine Chancellor. I've been in there for 6 years. Before in Lantana and now in this wonderful and High Ridge. So my thing is I only want, and this is goal for everybody, I only want what is best for my kids, and I think you guys did that too. So I think if we have, I know if it does not move forward, I don't want you guys stop us just for not to do nothing in our land, when we have our land, just to do there, only because they want to build something. I don't care about them. I care about I'm sorry. I'm being honest. So I care about what I'm being honest, but I don't care about that. I want to just my kid have a place to play and to have a time just for them too, because this is not fair. When you stop in them, you stop in us too. So it's not fair. And that's only I want that you guys think about it. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Shay Lovelace, 1606 Nanette Court in Lake Worth. I'm a parent of a 10-year-old girl at Chancellor. She's in 5th grade. She's been there since kindergarten. My 19-year-old went to Chancellor also, back at the Enquirer building. We have a long history with Chancellor, and we find it to be a really great school. I must confess, however, I have considered removing my daughter from Chancellor in light of the dangerous conditions that exist currently during their PE period. The children are forced to play on a 10-foot wide stretch of pavement. I've heard it called a parking lot. It really isn't. It's their driveway. And you talk about a high occupancy apartment complex, you should see the high occupancy density of 1,000 children crammed into this little 10-foot wide stretch. Last year, my daughter had a severe injury on her arm. She broke her arm. The year before that, she broke her foot. She landed on the pavement, and the kids were all crammed around her, and they crushed her arm the one year and then the foot the year before that. According to the doctor's report, never would have happened if it had been on a soft landing surface like a sports complex. I'd like to state for the record, as parents, we're neither for nor against this apartment complex being built, but I implore the commission to please do not hinder the progress in building the sports complex. We were all children once, and it's cruel to make them suffer while this remains in limbo.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Dwayne Snyder. I live on 71st Street South. That will be 1 block. In this case, north-south, south of Hyperluxo. And I just wanted to bring a few things to mind. Just one, it takes me 2 minutes to cross a road to take my 2-year-old to VBK. I live on the first street when you make that turn on Hyperluxo onto High Ridge. 2 minutes to cross the road. That means that my son really knows a lot about looking out for cars because every morning it's the same routine. Second, when I leave with my car, it takes me about 5 minutes because I leave about 15, 20 minutes later. And so I keep looking at the fact that there are only 2 lanes on High Ridge. And there's just no getting around that. I mean, I understand business is business and have to build units, but it just doesn't seem to fit. Not once have I heard these developers talk about the traffic on Hyperluxo and High Ridge, and I just did.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners. John Arshamo, 1912 71st Street South. I, too, live off of a road with 11 homes that leads on to High Ridge Road. And I can tell you it takes about 8 to 11 minutes to get on High Ridge Road because people aren't even considerate enough to leave you a little gap in between, because once that light changes, everybody rushes through, and everybody has to get somewhere today so fast they don't even acknowledge you coming off of one of these streets. I'm not against building. I just think there's a right place for it. And I think Boynton has a big area, a vast area with plenty of opportunity for new building. This just doesn't fit there. So I would hope we listen to the priest today, begin our meeting, and you have wisdom to see that the people that have been there for a long time are expressing themselves, and you have the vote. And it's very important to do the right thing for your community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ed Brill, 7648 High Ridge Road. And I actually happen to have the house that sits between Lake Worth Christian and the charter school. And we have to block our driveway in the morning because we constantly have frustrated parents from Imagination Charter who want to pull in our driveway to drop off their kids because the wait is so long to get their kids into the school. And again, we have nothing against Imagination Charter because we know that they want to get these soccer fields, and we don't have a problem with that. But it sounds like they're being held hostage by this developer to get this 5.31 acres for the soccer field counted into the land space for the PUD so that it can be approved. And I think it should be completely separate issues. And the traffic issues and the property values for our area, I think, are what really are going to be impacted negatively. And we already have enough problems with traffic and property values dropping already. So I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Brill. I live at 7648 High Ridge Road also. We've lived in Cedar Ridge for the past 12 years. I've been driving on High Ridge Road and in this area for over 35 years. My concern is that this is not zoned apartments initially. That affects the investment of all the homeowners in that area, okay? I don't think it's fair. These people are paying thousands in taxes and have for over 50 years, and you're now considering changing what they've invested in. Totally unfair. And I would like to see a traffic study done when there's an accident on I-95 and there's 3,000 cars on High Ridge Road during commuter hours.
Hi, my name is Walter Vosberg. I live at 107 Spruce Street in Cedar Ridge. I just want to bring up a few points that pretty much everybody has covered, but just a little bit different take on them. First of all, the last gentleman that spoke, I think he was spot on. The school's being held hostage. They need to be cut free so they can develop their land for those kids, put the playground in, put the fields in, and worry about the development of that remaining property as a separate issue, okay? The second thing is they mentioned, well, eventually we're going to have to put in a traffic light at High Ridge and Minor. That's going to be a disaster. I would suggest that before any ground is broke, that they just put stop signs up there for 2 months and see what kind of chaos that would cause, because that will be the reality for the future if a traffic light goes in there. You will have gridlock on High Ridge in both directions. You can't handle 1,400 cars in the morning and the afternoon with a traffic light at that intersection. It won't work. Okay? And then the last point I wanted to make was the developer tried to persuade everybody that, well, we're behind. Boynton Beach is behind the times because we only have 5 new apartment complexes going up in Boynton Beach, and Del Rey has 18 and Boca's got 22. Well, I'd like to remind the developer that Boynton Beach is only 16 square miles, okay? Boca is 29. Del Rey is 16 square miles, same size as Boynton, except Boynton Beach has the highest population density of all of them, 4,217 people per square mile compared to Boca's 2,682 per square mile, and Del Rey's in the middle with 3,800 per square mile. So,
thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Randy Flank, and I live at 115 Spruce Street in Cedar Ridge as well. And I just wanted to bring up the point that I was privileged to be at both of the meetings that the developer had requested from our community so that we could learn about what the development and the project was going to be about. And on the first one, it was sort of like everybody was there and they had a million questions, and you know, it was pretty informative. But the second one, they came back saying, well, we have the data to the traffic study, so we wanted to share it with you. So when we went back, we got the same beautiful, privileged slideshow presentation with the charts that are around, and it is a beautiful complex. I won't negate that. And the only difference between what we saw on that day versus today was the actual data was put into the additional slides. So when they came back with an opportunity for us to have a third meeting, we declined because this meeting is here. So there wasn't any point to meet again in between last week and this week. So it wasn't like we were hands up, no, we don't want to see you. We're going to see you next week. So that was to answer your question in regards to that, because I didn't want you to think we were taking any positions. As far as concessions or any other with suggestions as to what could make our traffic lessened, if they're trying really hard to be a good neighbor, they're going to see what they can do to make us all get on their side. And I think that that was what one of the main functions, other than the traffic study data, was for one of our meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maya Hall, and I live at 2128 Northeast 4th Court. And I want my field because we've been paying for it for about 2 years, I think. And every year has passed by, and I've been playing on the concrete road. And I got hurt at PE with a twisted ankle, and I do not want that to happen again. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Cabrera, the President and CEO of the Housing Leadership Council, 2101 Vista Parkway, West Palm Beach. And the Housing Leadership Council was actually founded by the business community, the Business Development Board, Economic Council, the Chambers, FPL, all the major businesses are there because one of the #1 issues if you want to recruit and retain companies is housing. That's what they care about. When they call from their state, they're not going to care if you outsource your housing. That's not going to help. They're going to not know where Lake Worth or Delray is. You have to make a commitment to the housing to really make an impact on that. And you can see that we have gone down in the number of units. That doesn't show much commitment from the community. If you're pro-growth, you have to pay attention to the housing issues because we surveyed employers and that was their #1 issue in deciding whether to come or stay. And the other thing I want to address is when have renters become transients? I mean, that's kind of personally offensive to me because at the time of my life, I think most people here have by choice or by circumstance had to rent. And I wasn't any of a lower person or take less care of my property when I was a renter. I just don't know where this is coming from, that renters are any better or worse choice for the neighborhood. And I think they've shown that these probably are too expensive. That would be my big complaint with this. And I'm not going to get the developer probably to lower the rents, but if the area surrounding this is concerned, those rents are at a point where they're going to keep up their property values and shouldn't have any problem from this.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is John Carter. I'm on the Board of Directors of the Central Palm Beach County Chamber. I'm also a member of the Executive Committee. Our CEO and President, Wayne Burns, could not be here tonight, so he asked myself and Mary Lou to come and speak to you. I think from a business community perspective, I'd like to remind the Council that a diversity of housing stock is absolutely key and critical to the business community. And even though there is clearly dynamic tension here with the community, from a business perspective, the Chamber is here to say that this is a quality developer and a quality project, and we believe, as been previously pointed out, there is a need to have a diversity of housing stock here. And also, I would like to remind the Council and Commission that, as the traffic engineer pointed out, the problem here isn't this project with traffic. Is only 6% difference in the PM or AM/PM peak hour. Really, this is the tail. The dog is the existing development around there. So really, with the proposal that the applicants put forward, presents almost a curative benefit as the last development in to start dealing with some of those issues, and I believe this applicant has stepped forward to deal with those. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mary Lou Bedford. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Central Palm Beach County Chamber of Commerce, and I have a letter that I wrote that I won't take the time to read, but I did make copies for each one of you, so if you wouldn't mind. One of the things that we are stressing, as John spoke, as he is our chair of our Business Advocacy and New Development Committee, we as a chamber are, one of our strategic focuses is business retention and expansion. And the target area we feel that this project has merit is because the housing development will attract those new coming, we heard from some millenniums this evening, but it will attract particularly the STEM industry, those highly educated, qualified students that are coming out into the job market that are in those industries that are growing and that we are trying to attract and retain in Palm Beach County. There's a real shortage of this kind of housing, not only in Palm Beach County, but in Broward and Miami-Dade County as well. And it's something that we as a chamber, as advocates of business, feel it's very important that you are aware of that, and we think Boynton Beach is a central location and a perfect area for that, and we do have those in that industry who have indicated through our research that they're interested in commuting and taking Tri-Rail and being able to work in various counties. So we want you to keep that in mind, and please read my letter when you get a chance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Hal Bryan, and I apologize for my attire tonight, but unlike most of the people sitting here tonight, I've been a resident here since September 30th. So I got my driver's license out because I live at 3 Oakwood Court. And I was afraid I might forget when I stood up here. I come from a family of developers in Atlanta, and I can say that I don't envy you guys, any of you guys, the school people, or anybody else. But what I would like to say, that's a beautiful drawing. And when that development goes in, and that school builds that beautiful playground, so many people want to send their kids to that school. And your traffic problem is just the beginning of your problems. Because now you're going to have to widen High Ridge Road to handle it. And I don't even think I need to say another word.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good
My
evening.
name is John Potter, 19 Pepperwood Court in the Cedar Ridge community. I did speak one at a time, and I want to reiterate some of those points. I hear three things. The reason I came to move to Boynton Beach in January and buy the house that I did was to give my daughter a safe place to grow up. She's behind me. She's young. She's not going to Lake Worth Christian, nor is she going to Chancellor, but she's going to Bach Middle School. And we're happy just to have a nice place. To live around the area of Bach, where we actually did live, is not a great place to raise a kid, if you guys know that area. We lived in the villages. It is not a safe place to raise a child. What we needed was a little bit of open space and a little bit of yard. As not a millennial, but more of a Generation X wire, being around 37, I know that I am now in the position to buy that. I am now in a position to really find a place where we could set our feet down and make a solid commitment to the neighborhood that we're going to live in. Trying to bring millennials in, not really going to work out for that exact community. The weird thing is that I've heard 3 points. One, we all agree that the fields need to be built for these young kids across the street. We all want it. We just don't think it should be tied at all to that. I'm sure there is a way to work it out that those can be built without it. And if this development does not go through, and they go through with the single family homes that are more appropriate, another developer will step up. There is money to be made in that too. You know, this developer just doesn't even want to think about doing that because they're used to building this type of development. They don't necessarily want to do single family. They don't want to think about it because it hurts the profit margin. Understandable, but find a different place. The other problem is the people that are speaking aren't living here. The ones that are for this project are parents that are coming from Lake Worth and all over. The people that are saying, please vote no against this particular community and look for another development option, one that's less intrusive, less traffic, and more safe for our students and our children that are growing up there, are the ones that live here, that work here, and that want to stay here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Max Ragno. I live at 720 Presidential Drive, and I am a senior at Lake Worth Christian High School, and I drive there every morning. And it is a pain. It is a serious obstacle. Going over the Gateway Bridge is fine. Once you turn on the High Ridge, the traffic coming out of Tri-Rail, the traffic coming out of it's just congested. You can't fit this development. That's been addressed. And then finally, what sickens me is that this school, I go past Imagine every day. I see them playing in the parking lot. And I know, just 8 or 9 years ago when I was at Trinity Lutheran in Delray, they were building an addition to the school, and there were times when we had to play in similar conditions. I think it's horrible that it's being chained to this development. Everybody is losing here. This needs to be addressed.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's everyone that wanted to speak, so we'll close down the public audience and come back to the commission. I don't want to, I'll start if you want me to, and I think you've already had your say. Everybody knows where you stand. I guess I've listened to all of this, and I'll tell you the biggest thing here, what it boils down to, is the traffic on High Ridge. Everybody says it's just terrible, and really it's terrible for 4 hours a day, 2 peak hours in the morning and 2 peak hours in the afternoon. I know because I've driven up and down it many times. I've driven up Minor, and I've driven up in the middle of the day when I had no problem. I zipped right up and down, stuff like that. But I understand that when there's a school, you're going to have congestion, a lot of congestion. There's a school right outside of the development where I live, and fortunately there's 2 ways out of my development, but if I wanted to go out one out on Congress, it's tough in the morning when the kids are going to school, or in the afternoon when they're getting out. I can sit there forever trying to get out. Well, not forever, because far down Congress, there's a light. Sooner or later, that'll change so I can get out. You don't have that option. You don't have a light yet. And if you did have a light, somebody said they don't think that would solve the problem either. And they did bring up about, and the developer did talk about putting stop signs in for a certain period to see if that would work, and it may not work either. If the light don't work, the stop sign may not work either. But the problem is you got a traffic problem. You have traffic problem right now. The development's not there, but you have the traffic problem. You've all told me you do. Every day you have that same traffic problem because you have 2 schools. So that's understandable. The other thing is, though, you're not doing anything to change it right now. You're doing nothing to make that go away. It's just there and you're living with it. Now, so you say, okay, we put this development in, it might add some traffic to that. There's no question about it could. Although there are the road to the west, the 2-lane road to the west of this project, I understand that is 1 way in the morning going in and 1 way in the afternoon going out. That's what I understood. Double, right? Pardon me? Yeah, 2 stack going into. But they do use it to go in and out.
They block both lanes, so they will not be able to use that exit during those peak hours. The community will not be able to.
Is that correct? Is that going to be blocked?
No, it's not going to be blocked.
Not going to be blocked?
No.
Mayor, I would encourage the speaker to please come up because we cannot get this
No,
on
that's all right.
recording.
You don't have to come up, but I understand it is not blocking it. We're not blocking it. I know it's blocked now, but they're not there. How can they be blocking it?
They open up.
Oh, the school is blocking it. Why? They don't want people coming in on that road?
It's 2 lanes going 1 way.
Yeah.
So you can't go the other way to get
Right.
out.
So you go in 1 way, come out the front of the school, and then at the end of the afternoon, you go out the other way. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, right now, you have the problem. And I suppose the biggest solution would be if you could widen High Ridge. Obviously that's not happening right now because they're saying that it's adequate for, they say, I guess it's a county. Is that a county road?
Yes.
Yeah, the county's saying it's adequate right now, with the exception of them 4 hours during the day. So my thing is, right now, you got the problem, nothing's being done to solve it. If this project goes in, there may be some solutions coming with the left turn lanes and the right turn lanes. It might ease some of it. That sounds like it, like they put some different lanes in there for going right and going left. It's a possibility, could ease it up some. At least they're looking at that. They're also looking at plus putting in sidewalk and along there for people to walk. They're also doing landscaping and curb at the entrance to your Cedar Ridge. They've offered to do that, which that's not on their property. They don't have to do that. They're doing that to try to I guess it was asked for from Cedar Ridge, so if that would be a help. So they've offered to do that. They're not required to do that. So they're trying to do something to solve some of them problems, I think. Will that end all the congestion going in the 2 hours and 4 in the afternoon, morning? No, you'll probably still have it because you got schools. Any school in the city, you're going to, wherever you go, you're going to find that. As far as as property values, the man just sat there and said our property values are already going down. They're already going down. There's no project there, and you saying your property values are going down. What we're doing here, if this project went through, would put valuable property in there that's, in some cases, higher than what you got inside at Cedar Ridge. So your property values could actually increase. The other one was the parking. The parking is not your problem. This guy has to provide the parking in that project. It's not to do with you. The parking doesn't affect you. They have to provide the parking, and according to this, they meet what the city codes require. So that's not something we can say you can't do, but they do have a plan B. They could add more if they had to, after they find that it doesn't, if they feel like it ain't working. But so that's a thing. So I see this as possibly starting to address your problem rather than not addressing it. So, and I think it's I just don't think you're doing anything right now. You got a problem and you're just upset about it and you can't do nothing about it. But I think maybe when this goes through, maybe if there's more traffic, maybe we can get the county to widen that road and make more lanes. So that's kind of where we're at.
Take a vote.
I'm sorry. I'm speaking. You had your say. I'm telling you what I'm thinking. That's all. I listen to you. You can listen to me. Maybe they can't widen the road. I don't know. But well, nothing. You never say can't. You never say can't. I never say can't about anything. I never say can't. That's not in my vocabulary.
Do we vote?
Okay. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. I think this. I think it's a good project, and I think maybe it would help the problem rather than hinder it. So.
Mr. Mayor, may I, my district. Mr. Mayor, this is my district, and I can tell you from experience, I travel that road every morning and every afternoon dropping my daughter off to school. So I know the situation over there. I respectfully disagree with your assessment that building this project is going to help the traffic problem. I don't quite agree with that. What we've got to, and my heart goes out to the school as far as their playground, but I blame that on poor planning of the board of directors that run that school. That's just poor planning. I think that after this is done, that maybe we should come forward and try to do something to remedy that for you. But to tie it into this project, to say this is the only way we're going to get that athletic field done is through this development, I respectfully disagree. The other thing is here, let's not forget what we're voting on here tonight. We're voting on 184 units of transit housing on 8 acres of land. That's what we're voting on here. 184 transit housing apartments on 8 acres of land. If it doesn't fit the landscape, this is a great project. It really is, but it's not the location for it. I would support this in the right environment. I could support this project. Now, you say single-family homes. I find that a weak argument because in my district, again, Aspen Glen, which is right a few gates down from my community, Aspen Glen, on ironically the same amount of land, it just built 45 single-family homes going for in the mid-300s. So it can be done and be profitable. So I would ask to this commission to agree with the Planning and Development Board that we have here, Advisory Board, to vote no on this project. It just doesn't fit the community. And it will definitely have an adverse effect on the quality of life that everyone that lives there. Thank you.
Commissioners want to talk?
Mayor, sure. You know, since he wanted to go and say what district he represents, you know, I represent District 2, and I think everybody here that has a district, we have problems with schools, okay, and kids getting education and traffic. I'm not going to say, you know, that, you know, this is a great project. You know, I grew up in Boynton. I was here like over 61 years ago. You know, I applaud you all for what you're doing with the students and everything. I'm not going to vote against this project. I'm just saying I want you to get your feel and everything. I'm just saying because guess what? We need to do what is best for Boynton. We tell individuals, I'm speaking, we tell individuals that, you know, we want to bring property and bring businesses here to Boynton. When we get developers that want to come in, then we get a handful of people saying, no, we don't want to do it. I'm just saying, what are we sending out to the people that want to come to Boynton to develop things? You know, we have to stand on our grounds. We want developers to come here. We got one that's coming here. And, you know, you might not like me, but I have to do what's right. I'm going to vote for the project. Thank you.
Anybody else? No, thank you. It's over. Public's over. Ms. Fitzpatrick.
All right, a few comments. First of all, when we first had this, somebody asked the question, why is there land set aside, natural area set aside in Cedar Ridge and not in the horse farm? And the reason is because the horse farm was bulldozed long before the city had a conservation plan and their conservation element of their comprehensive plan. So this is from like I don't know which one, 94 or 96 or something. And I don't have the other doc pages to go with it, but number 38 is where Cedar Ridge is, and that was a natural resource area, and so that's why you have a set aside. To me, this is a big mess that, you know, because I don't understand why you would build a school piecemeal without figuring out how it's all going to fit together before you start. And I don't understand why you would buy a piece of property without the zoning already in place, or why you wouldn't make the purchase price conditional on zoning changes, but, you know, everybody can do what they want. And the point that if it's going to be a nice project, it's going to be over 1,000 plus, but before the school opened, when this first came up, I went over and talked to the school administrative assistant to the principal for about 15 minutes, and I asked that very question, and it's capped by the county charter, my understanding, 1,000, so it's already at max capacity. It's not going to increase anymore. Let's see. And as a city commissioner, I'm on the Boynton's rep to the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and so about 2 to 3 hours a month, so 25 to 30 hours in the last year, I've gotten an education on roads in Palm Beach County. And the developer, you're not going to get a better deal than what the developer's offering. The county is not going to do any improvements. The money that used to go to paving extra lanes and stuff has been transferred pretty much to Palm Tran. I think like 80% of what used to go to roads is now going to Palm Tran, and that isn't changing, so it just isn't there. So you keep saying it's a 2-lane road, but at the intersection, if you look at that map, it's 4 lanes. It's got north, and it's got a south, it's got a center left turn lane, and it's got a right turn stacking lane. So, and plus, there was going to be extra lighting. So, and there'll be a sidewalk the whole way. It's all improvement. If, you know, the only reason a developer can pay for those kind of things is a certain percentage on each unit. So if you only got 40 units, you're only going to get a dirt lane. But if you got 184, you're going to get it paved. So that's the reason that I think the developer can afford to put in those extra lanes. And like we pointed out, during the peak hours, it's only an extra 6%. So actually, with those extra 2 lanes for turning, it might actually help things. Another point is that I'm interested in is that between, say, 1950 and 2050, there's going to be a major change. It's already in works of how houses are built. I mean, with Levittown in 1950, what's going to be built in 2050 is entirely different. This project is not there yet, but it's going in the right direction. There's still a lot to be invented. There's still a lot of stuff to be figured out, but this is a change. If you look at it closely, it's even a change in what was built at Cedar Ridge. So from that aspect, I think it's a good thing. I'm taking some courses on this kind of stuff, and the younger generation does have a different attitude towards cars, and so the engineering studies do indicate they're not going to need as many parking spaces. But I know you and I will, but people are different now. But the bottom line is, for me, so I'm marginally in favor of the project, but I believe city commissioners should have some pull in their own districts. So even now, like I said, I'm marginally in favor. I'm going to back Joe's play because he's a commissioner from that district.
Okay, everybody ready for a vote?
I am.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion that proposed ordinance number 14-013 be approved.
Is there a second? Second. A motion and second. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mayor Taylor,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Casella,
No.
Commissioner Merker,
Yes.
Commissioner McCray,
Aye.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
No.
The vote is 3-2.
Thank you.
Mayor, reconsideration?
Pardon?
Can we reconsider the vote?
No?
Aye.
Why?
We're on the losing end.
You can't, you're on losing end.
3-0.
Okay, this takes us to ordinance 14-014.
An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida
Could I
regarding...
have a motion removed from the table?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So the motion is unanimous.
An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida regarding the application of Ron Roan of High Ridge Housing LLC, amending ordinance
Please leave quietly.
0213.
Excuse me. Yeah, we need.
Hang on just a minute. But I ask that you leave quietly so we can continue the meeting.
Here's.
Amending ordinance 02013 to rezone a parcel of land located on the west side of High Ridge Road, approximately .25 miles north of Minor Road, as more fully described herein, from single and two-family dwelling district to plan unit development with master plan for 184 apartments, imagined charter school, and athletic fields, providing for conflict severability and an effective date. This is also a quasi-judicial proceeding, but the commission has proceeded in consolidating this item with the previous one and with the one that follows it. Does the applicant have any objection to the commission dealing with it directly now without any further presentation?
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Casella,
No.
Commissioner Merker,
Yes.
Commissioner McCray,
Yes.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick,
No.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
The vote is 3-2.
Item B is approve a major site plan modification to allow construction of 184 rental units consisting of 8
Motion to
2 and 3
remove from the
story-
table. Sorry.
Oh, is the motion removed from the table? Second? Second. Motion second. All in favor?
Mayor, this should be placed back on the agenda because the site plan should not be adopted until second reading of the two preceding ordinances.
Which is all being
Okay.
tabled to November 5th, I believe.
Okay, so this one should be a motion to table to November 5th? This item?
Motion to table to November the 5th.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, yes.
Site
All in
plan,
favor?
Aye.
It wasn't
No.
approved,
No.
9B.
Okay, so,
9B.
Patrick, are you in favor of
We're on 9B.
the table?
Yes, tabling, yes.
Yes, okay, motion passes 4-1.
Sorry.
This takes us to proposed ordinance number 14020 on second reading and public hearing.
Motion to remove from the table.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the motion is unanimous? No. No? So the motion,
We're removing it, we're putting it on the table or taking it?
13A, we're asking to remove that from the table.
Okay, in favor.
Okay, so the motion passes 4-1.
Okay, ordinance 14020, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Part 3 Land Development Regulations, Chapter 4, Article 5, Minimum Off-Street Parking Requirements, Section 3, 4, and 5, inserting flexible parking provisions, promoting smart growth, providing for conflict severability, inclusion, and an effective date.
Proposed ordinance number 1402 on second reading, public hearing. Anybody in the public wish to address this ordinance? Seeing none, we'll turn the commission for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion, second, any discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Merker,
Yes.
Commissioner McCray,
Aye.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Casella.
No.
The vote is 4-1.
Ordinance number 14023, second reading, public hearing.
An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, designating the property known as the Boynton Women's Club located at 1010 South Federal Highway, which is more fully described herein, as a local historic site, providing a non-severability clause and an effective date.
Proposed ordinance number 14023, anybody in the public wish to address this ordinance? Seeing, yes, come in.
Michelle Walter, president of the Boynton Women's Club, and we want to thank you. We're happy to receive this designation, and we want to thank you for Warren Adams, your historic planner, for helping us work through this, and we appreciate the cooperation and assistance of the CRA and the City Commission in the restoration of our windows and doors, and we're happy to be part of the revitalization of Boynton Beach.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and second. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner McCray.
Aye.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Casella.
Aye.
Commissioner Merker.
Yes.
The vote is 5-0.
Ordinance 14024, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, approving the extension of a current mobile vending unit regulation for a period of 90 days, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Ordinance 14024 on second reading, public hearing. Anybody in the public wish to address this ordinance? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and second. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Casella.
Yes.
Commissioner Merker.
Yes.
Commissioner McCray.
Aye.
The vote is 5-0.
Ordinance 14025, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, relating to the Quanah Community Development District, providing legislative findings, specific authority, dissolving the Quanah Community Development District pursuant to Section 190.0469 Florida statutes, providing for reliance upon representation, specific intent, conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Ordinance 14025 on second reading, public hearing. Anybody in the public wish to address this ordinance? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion second. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mayor Taylor.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Casella.
Aye.
Commissioner Merker.
Yes.
Commissioner McCray.
Aye.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
The vote is 5-0.
Ordinance 14027, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Ordinance 13003, confirming prior commission action appointing James Buck Buchanan and Woodrow L. Hay and stating their respective terms of appointment to the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Board and an effective date.
This is first reading of ordinance 14027. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I have discussion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to move, I'd like to advertise to the city for citizens to participate, to volunteer to be on the CRA board. By opening this position, it doesn't exclude those who are currently seated from applying, and this way it's inclusive for all those interested in applying. The CRA board is that required. The people who have served on it have done it honorably, with distinction, but I believe very strongly that it's always good to get new people volunteering and participating. So I would like this brought up and discussed and advertised, say, starting in December, since the next opening is in March.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
I talked to Director Vivian Brooks about this. I asked her, and she says that it's the only one it really applies to now is Woodrow Hay, that it's for the continuation of, he finished out Mark George's term, but James Buchanan isn't up for another couple of years or something. So I don't think both names should be on this.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just point of information. When Mr. Buchanan was reappointed, it should have been for 4 years, not 2 years.
Correct.
So that's what we're addressing here tonight to make that right. So he was originally approved for 2 years. He did his 2 years, and when reappointed, it should have been for 4 years. By mistake, through the attorney or whoever wrote it, it was only for 2 years. So what we're voting on here tonight is just to extend it to the 4 years, which should have been originally.
May I say something? This is an addition, this is to open it up to the public. By saying no to what I'm saying is saying you don't want new people to participate. The wonderful thing about a government and a city is you're always having new people moving in. So I'm not saying, I said, and you can quote me, it is inclusive. The people who have served, who want to serve again, I'm not saying no to. but it's a way of encouraging other people to participate in city government. I can't see how anyone can say no to wanting new people participating.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 14027 as presented. Is there any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Casella.
Yes.
Commissioner Merker.
I'd like to pass for the moment.
A vote, yes or no?
I'd like to pass for the moment.
Mayor, as the chair, you could allow him to vote at the end of the sequence.
Okay. Go ahead then.
Commissioner McCray.
Aye.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Mayor Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Merker.
I will vote yes. I would like to bring up what I said before, because again, I reiterate, it's a shame that we have a closed-door policy.
Vote is 5-0.
Ordinance number 14028.
An ordinance in the city of Boynton Beach, Florida, authorizing abandonment of a 12-foot wide utility easement along Military Trail as part of the construction of a Walmart store at Military Trail in Coconut Lane, except dedication of additional right-of-way to Palm Beach County, which will include the area vacated by the easement. Subject to staff comments, authorizing the city manager to execute a disclaimer, which shall be recorded with this ordinance in the public records of Palm Beach County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Ordinance 14028 on first reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion, second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a discussion. I have a question. How does the city own an easement that far out?
We do. That's all over 100 Run.
Oh.
Over behind 100 Run.
It's flavor picked.
Yeah, over behind 100 Run.
Yeah, Colin Groff, Utilities Director. It's a utility easement. Our service area goes about 4 blocks west of that road, and that's a utility easement that just waters it.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Merker.
Yes.
Commissioner McCray.
Aye.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Casella.
Aye.
The vote is 5-0.
Any other business come before the board? And adjourned.